Welcome to another episode of Reseller Evolution. I'm Scott.
And Carl.
How's it going, Carl?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Everything's good. Can't be better. I can't complain. You?
This is episode 63. I always have to say it. And
Yeah.
Everything's starting to melt outside.
Yes. We got some rain going on today.
Oh, yeah. We're supposed to get some rain. I didn't
Plus
shovel
12.
last time, so I was glad to see it just start melting and I didn't have to do anything. Do you have any
Plus
snow
12.
on the ground down there in like Miami, Ontario?
Well, there's pockets of snow, so probably where people have shoveled and piled it, or maybe a drift. Not that we had much drifting. We used to get drifts a lot as a kid. Like when I remember the old days, there was drifting all the time.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm kind of living in the town now. I was out in the country, but anyway. So we get pockets where it's maybe falling off the roof, or somebody shoveled and made a pile, or snow blowed or whatever. But for the most part, it's starting to melt across the lawns.
Oh wow, we're so far away from that.
We're gonna hit plus 12 today. It's 12 degrees Celsius, and we got rain right now. Yesterday was, I think, 7.
Oh, I'm 7. Jealous. Yeah, we might get to 2 or 3.
Yeah. So, but we are we're a week into March, so usually that's when we do hit a few days in the plus. I remember when I was in public school, we had snow on the ground in piles, kind of where they would have plowed it. But it was like 20 degrees in March. I was wearing shorts outside, and there's piles of snow at recess. You know what I mean? So I would have wore the shorts from gym class. I wouldn't have been getting away from wearing it to school. But I just remember we had like a gym class, and I just wore my shorts, and it stood out in my mind because it just seemed so odd to have like snow, shorts, and then warm sun.
It is a weird combo.
That was March.
Yeah.
And then at times it snowed in June. So you just never know in Canada.
I don't remember snow in June, but I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, I remember snow in June, and I was young. Well, I would have been I was probably around 10. But my grandfather was driving me home. And it was a wet snow, so it wasn't staying on the ground, but it was still technically snow. And then we got pulled over by the police officer. And my grandpa's driving, and he's an older guy, right? He was in the military and everything, right? So he's got all these crazy stories, or not stories, but life experiences, right?
Yeah.
So he's driving. He's got to be 70, 71, I guess. And he's driving, and the cop's right behind us. And I'm like 10 years old, right? So all of a sudden the lights come on. And my grandma goes, "What's this guy doing? He can go around me." He's slowing down. And I said, "Grandma," I said, "I think he's pulling us over." "Oh, he's not pulling us over. We didn't do nothing. We're just driving, right?" And the cop follows us all the way, dropped me off at home, which was not that far. It was probably 5 to 10 minutes away. So anyway, it's just one of those funny stories. But it was a wet snow.
Yeah,
we got pulled over. He didn't have the seatbelt on.
Right? So, one of those.
Yeah,
I had an uncle like that,
dude. It was in the 70s, right? So
I had an uncle who's all about not wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah. So
yeah. The only time I saw the inside of a jail cell was in Ottawa when I was a kid, and my parents had a store, and the Prince Charles and Diana were coming here. And I had to go on stage and present them like with a homemade sweater, like from my parents' store.
Yeah.
And it's so hot, I passed out. And then I woke up in a jail cell because that was the only cool place there was in the area. That's how hot it was. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that was my 2 minutes of fame was doing that.
Other people might believe that, Carl, but I know you, so maybe that's not the real reason you were there, eh?
Yeah, well, I was about 10, or 8.
I passed. The real reason is I got all hammered. I passed out.
Right. I think Prince Charles and Princess Diana were there, but Yeah.
You're really drunk if you're starting to see those two around.
Yeah, I know, right?
Eh?
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding you. No, it's just funny when you look back at the times and how they've changed. And, I get probably a lot of how we perceive things too, right? We perceive things differently when
Oh,
we're younger too. So,
when I have a kid, I think back and I like there's scenarios that happen. It's like that was kind of weird, but
yeah.
you don't realize that as a kid. You're just like la 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 la.
Yeah.
You don't really see things. And then as an adult, you kind of go back as like, okay, that situation was weird. What was really going on there, right? But yeah. Oh well, mysteries of life, right?
Yeah. The good old days, Carl. The good old days.
Well, yeah. Thankfully, anyways, yes, good old days.
But
So, anything else?
not really. Sales are pretty decent. We had a slow day Sunday.
Mm,
Saturday was okay at the booth. Sunday was oddly enough a slow day.
okay.
So we'll see. We'll see how things go. I mean, today is Wednesday, so we're closed Monday, Tuesday. Sales on eBay have been good. I had a really good weekend. I had Monday, Tuesday. I think I got 8 going out today so far for $500-600 in total.
Nice.
So I probably told you with a couple sales. Car parts again.
Yep.
So car parts are good, man. Car parts are good. I can kind of go through them here. I just got to find them here for a second. But one guy, I do have a story about one guy telling me something. I can even give you that message here because it was really. I think you tell me what you think before I give you any indication of what my thoughts are. So this guy messages me. What are we on here? We're on the 5th. So he messages me on the 3rd. Hi, Scott. Is the ignition switch housing metal or plastic/composite? Now, this is one of those car parts where the ignition coils go inside. So those are four. It would be four wooden ignition coils that fit in the ignition coil box. And I put, hi, Barry, thank you for your interest. It is all metal, definitely not plastic composite. Please feel free to ask any further questions. Scott. He replies, say, Scott, actually, 1314 ignition switch housing was a plastic composite material. They're hard to find. Thanks for your quick reply. So he's telling me that mine's not the one he's looking for. He's looking for something that's older, plastic composite. Well, first of all, they didn't make plastic, I think, until like later 1930s before it was Bakelite. Could have been what he meant for sure. No problems there. But I'm like looking at mine, and mine's got a nice plate. It's completely original. It's metal. I took a magnet to it just to confirm that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I don't even know. Like, he could be wrong. He could be right. I don't care. I'm going with what I got. I'm just going to leave it. And I put, okay, thanks. And then he texted me or messaged me last night. I'll give you 200 USF, so US funds, I guess, for that
Yeah.
switch plate that says Ford Ontario. So hammer me down and tell me what I have is not correct or
Right.
not the good one. But then
And
he's going to
then
offer me a lesser value for part of it. Like,
yeah, it's kind of weird.
that's weird, right?
How
So
much were you asking again?
I'm asking $645.
Okay, so less than half. Or whatever it is
No, it's
conversion.
probably close to, it's US. I'm asking Canadian, so 200. It's probably getting close to half price, but
Yeah, okay.
it is less than half, but it's probably getting close to the 300. Um,
Who
and
knows? It might be legit. Maybe there's variations, right? Like,
well, he just wants part of it, and in fact, he wants the plate off the little part that hangs on the front of this box, right? So he's trying to tell me that that part is incorrect. The plastic one's the other one, but he would like the plate off it. So I honestly think this is kind of a ploy. He's trying to
okay,
tell me I don't have the good part, but he'll take the plate off that part that's not good. You
right.
know what I mean?
It's hard to
So,
tell. It could be like he's just offering, right? He's not. I understand what you're saying.
well,
He
what else
wants.
can he do? What else can he do? I don't know.
Well,
Offer
maybe.
it
Yeah. Who
like,
knows?
oh yeah, he can only offer me something, right? So,
Right.
um, but if he offered me like 450, he could have the whole freaking thing, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't want it. He just wants that front plate.
Yeah, so you're
Like, would it
saying
make
maybe
a big
300 for
difference in
that
the
plate?
like? Would it devalue what's left? That's the only issue with stuff like that. It's like I
No,
want the
I'm
good
telling him for
part,
450, he can have everything. I'll go
right?
down $200 on it. Like I don't got much into it compared to what
Yeah.
I'm asking for. It's
Well, there
just
you go. That's what I
right.
would do. It's a
No,
pain in
no,
the
I'm
butt.
not saying nothing. I'm gonna block him actually.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah, no, I think he's a shyster. I think he's trying to like. Why didn't he say that in his beginning statement? Why is he trying to like knock me down, wait a couple days, and then try to slip one in there?
Well,
Like,
maybe to be devil's advocate,
yeah,
maybe he's hoping it was the original thing he was talking about,
yeah.
right? Found out it wasn't, but then he thought, well, I could use that other part for something anyways. So I'll see if he'll go for that, right? It could be that.
And then he goes on to say, I was a big scammer, Scott. Sorry about that. I feel really bad,
Oh
but I
yeah.
was really just trying to scam you out of this thing.
Oh
And
my god.
yeah,
Wow. He must
so
have written that by accident. He must have been drunk.
I was correct.
Oh right. Okay.
No, he didn't do that.
Really?
But anyway, so I'm probably just gonna block him. I think it's a low ball. I
Okay.
think it's just a little too fishy.
Right.
Um,
It's
but
hard to tell. Like I was reading a Reddit thread
yeah.
for like Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and everyone's complaining about people show up and quote unquote don't have enough money. But then when you say you're not going to budge, all of a sudden they magically find more money in their wallet. Like there's a lot of
Oh,
people doing shitty things, right?
dude, I don't mind that so much, but don't
Oh,
tell me
really?
my stuff is junk and then say, but I'll take this part of it.
Right, right. I
Right?
wouldn't like that either. But
Yeah.
no, if someone said I showed up, if I'm asking 250, we agree to 250, and you show up at 200,
Oh,
then
that, yeah. Yeah,
that
no,
would, no, I'd be like, get the f away from me, right? Like that. You're
yeah,
not. That's not a mistake. You're trying to take advantage of people trusting you. Like you're scamming. It's not
yeah,
like it's not
yeah.
a
No, you're,
negotiation technique. It's a scam, right?
yeah,
I've had that happen to me in real life too, right? Oh, I
yeah,
didn't bring enough money. It's like, oh, that's okay. There's a cash machine just down the street. No problem. I didn't even realize it was a scam. Yeah.
yeah. No, that's brutal. I'll go through a couple sales here quickly. I
Yeah.
mean, Toy Soldier for $100. I'm selling a couple more of those insoles, so those continue to go. But I did sell a car part. It was a fan,
Yeah.
1942-52 Ford cooling fan for a V8 flathead, 4-blade V8 flathead parts and repair. I put in parts and repair because it had a little bit of a leak to it, but so did the one that I saw in another listing to confirm what this was. So it might be something just that's like a rubber gasket or something in there that needs to be replaced, and it's quite common. But I sent that out today. But this is a good story and a bad story. So I sold it for $185.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I went to
Yay.
Alaska.
Oh boo.
Yeah. So by the time I take everything, shipping, I think it was 60 something dollars shipping. So by the time I take the shipping, and because it cost me more than what I was charging because it went to Alaska, and when I got into it and everything, I make about $80 profit. So that's still okay. So it's a good bad story, but he ate probably $45 of profit just in the shipping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that sucked. Had another guy buy, he wanted some books. I had some Avante Guard magazines from the 60s, 70s. Marilyn Monroe, John Lennon, but there's some it's kind of like hippie kind of stuff. So he wanted to buy it just seems like everything was good, but it was like complicated. So he wanted this magazine, this
Oh
magazine,
yeah.
this magazine. He goes, "What can you do with shipping?" And then because he was in Germany, there was a couple ones that wasn't going to go through. Like he couldn't do it because he's living in Germany, so I must have had a different setting. So I said, "Listen, let me do this. Let me just put them all in one lot. I'll make a new listing,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll just go from there." So He paid $225 plus shipping. I think 35, and I think it pretty much came out to that. So, and that
Okay.
went to Germany. Sold one of those horse trading cards, Bella
Yeah. The
Sierra,
stupid things.
$35
Yeah.
for
Screw
one
that.
card.
It's so
It's
stupid.
insane, eh, Carl?
It's so stupid.
It's just dumb. I know. More toy soldiers, one for 150, 80. Oh, a kite. Did you see
No, I didn't see the kite.
the kite reel? It's a wooden kite reel. I got
Oh, that
35 bucks for it, but I think I paid $1 at a yard sale for it.
I like those. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge sale for me to be interesting, right? Like,
Yeah, and it looks kind of awkward to ship, but those handles, if you're looking at it, unscrew, so it kind of condenses down to a very shippable item. Coco Joe's, just a wooden goddess, hula dancer type thing. More toy soldiers. I got some lead vintage unbranded figures. I bought them for a long time ago, but there was like a fox hunt scene. So they had the riders on horses. There was three of them, and then some dogs, and then one fox. I got 95 bucks for that set. So I thought
yeah.
that was pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. There was 15 little figures, but they're all like less than an inch to an inch big. Their horse riders were a couple inches, but the dogs and the fox were small. Again, more
Oh,
toy soldiers.
I
Oh,
like
I
those,
sold.
I like
What's
those
that?
magazines. Those magazines are cool.
Yeah, yeah. I sold toy soldiers, so I got two of them by one guy. He paid $300, $295, and then he paid another $60 for a single one. So toy soldiers just continued to sell. So pretty happy with that. Some more drawings, some more of those fashion art watercolors.
Okay.
$65 for two.
I like the little fox hunting scene figures. Those are pretty cool.
And I think I got a ruler to them. If you take a look, they're very small.
Oh, I believe it.
Like
We,
like
yeah.
crazy. Like they're very miniature. I would have a ruler with them somewhere, but like those little dogs are about an inch. If you take from the tip of the tail to the tip of the nose, about an inch. So they're very small. I have a ruler next to them in one of the small things. But you see the fox and everything, eh?
Yeah, it's neat.
So I had 40 views on that before it sold too. Um,
Yeah, that's awesome. I can see why people would want that. That's really neat.
yeah, but it was unbranded, so I didn't really know. I couldn't put like Britain or anything, but they were definitely lead. Um, so those are kind of the main things. I can't remember what day we like a wrestling VHS tape, and then some more soldiers. Somebody bought $250 uh, worth of soldiers. I give him some good discount. He bought five listings, and that probably takes us for the most part right up to last week. So,
Oh wow.
and then Saturday was okay at the booth. I can't complain about Saturday, but I don't even. So we would have talked about none of this, I guess. But more toy soldiers sold there, books, just your regular stuff. I can't see anything super crazy. $10 VHS. Anytime I sell a VHS tape, like it just amazes me.
Yeah, me too. I was
But
very angry about all those like sealed ones selling for so much. It's like this is stupid, but it was happening.
it
So
was
what can I
happening.
say? I phoned.
So out of the 2 days of this month that we were open, today being the third day that we're open, although it's the fifth, but we're closed Monday, Tuesdays. I got lots of sales here, but everything was. Well, I sold a coat for $50 and a Colport statue, which is kind of a lower end Royal Dalton type looking thing, for 35. But everything else was under $30. Most of it was under 20. So no big home runs over the weekend. But like I said earlier, it was kind of slower. But anyway, how's things with you, Carl?
Okay, I finally sold one of those little racing car mini champ cars. So $20 US
The
dollar.
the mini champ. I
So I got
remember
a whole,
that was the Formula One type stuff.
yeah, I got a whole bunch of those.
Right.
I
Yes.
finally sold one.
Okay.
And then I sold one of my DS cases, so I only have 5,622 to go. Oh, that was a bad buy, man. Uh, what else? Oh, the weekend was Sunday was good. So,
Oh, good. Yes. Yes. You got the bigger
uh,
booth, right? So
yeah, I got the bigger booth. And I have my desk, and I brought in a comfy chair. It was such a good decision to do that. I just feel a lot more comfortable now,
sure.
and I can just get work done. Right.
Yep.
It's funny how like some weekends, like the weekend before, I sold out. I'm doing that commission stuff. The weekend before was busy, and I didn't sell any of his stuff. And then this weekend was almost all his stuff. It's
Wow.
funny. So
Well, yeah, it's funny how that works. Like even like I have three different booths, and I can see like one booth will get nothing one weekend, and all of a sudden the next weekend it's reversed and flipped, and it's crazy. But um, oh, what was I going to say? Do you find that you're getting more activity in your booth because it's bigger and there's more stuff, or do you just find the store in general is busier,
I think it's because my booth is bigger,
is bigger, more appealing kind of thing? Like
more diverse
because I
stuff.
always find the more space, the better. I've always said that.
Yeah.
So
No, I think like my rent's doubled though, right? Of course.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like my sales have doubled, but my rent's doubled. So like that doesn't bother me, right? Like, but yeah, no, there's more. I like the more action, right?
yep,
Because it keeps me more entertained when people are buying stuff. It's like it's boring when you have half the space and you have half the sales, and so economically it doesn't make a huge difference so far, but I think it will. I'd still have a lot more because when you have the double booth, you're kind of getting rid of that middle ground too, like kind of the buffer zone in between the two booths.
yep,
You know what I mean?
yep.
Like where the wall or whatever. So you
It's
get rid
more
of that.
opening for people. It's more.
Yeah,
It's not so claustrophobic in a way,
that's right. So
right?
it's actually pretty good. I can move everything down a little bit to make a bit more room between my desk and like the first table, but people seem to be fine with that. And it's a pain in the butt to be honest to move everything everything down. So,
Yeah.
but mostly I'm keeping, I can sit at the desk, I can clean stuff, I can like uh take sales there so people know where to go to actually pay, which is confusing for people. And also it's just more relaxing. So I like that. It was over 300, so that's a record for me, I guess, but that's with a double booth. I sold a bunch of his jerseys and records. The other
Well,
good thing about having,
150 each booth, if you want to look at it that way, which is pretty decent.
yeah, which is okay,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Yeah.
still probably making minimum wage. No, I'm not even making minimum wage. I'm making less than minimum wage. One day I'll get to minimum wage. That's the goal. But for now, I'm happy if I can get 300 on a weekend. That's good enough for me, right? But
Yeah.
that's commissioned items, right?
But
So he's paying for basically he pays for my rent every week. His stuff.
well, I look at it this way too. Like no matter what you get into, there's a learning curve. And you might have the knowledge curve already done, but you still have to learn clientele. Like if
Yeah.
I was to go into a whole different uh antique store, there's going to be a learning curve of learning the clientele. You know what I mean? Learning what this area is going to do well in and stuff, right? So you're probably starting to get a grip on that now too, right? So
I'm getting better grip. Like prices are lower. Um, Also, what sells is almost traditional antiques so far.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it's good. But next week is the time change, eh?
Oh, is that next week already?
Yeah. So when
Oh,
I complain about having to get up early, normally for the
yeah.
booth,
Now it's
and
going to
now
be
I'm losing
horrible.
another hour,
Oh, and then you're going to get hit. It's on your day.
it's on my day. I
It's on your day.
don't
Oh,
even have a
dude.
chance to like accommodate or
Nothing.
acclimatize.
Yeah. Holy
Yeah.
jeez. That's
So
craziness.
yeah, it's fine. I had a INR this week. I did not receive case.
Oh,
So the person, it was for some, those vintage grapes, grandma used to have, like the
yep.
I sell those on occasion. it was like a $35 American sale or something. Not big. Anyways, I sent it off a long time ago, and like early February, and so I get an INR, and I look at their comment, and they said, yeah, it's stuck in Indian, Indianapolis, and they said there's a big problem with their distribution center there. And so I look, and it's like, yeah, it's just sitting there in that like for days and days and days, like since early February, where they're just transferring it back and forth, and there'd be no update since February 20th or 25th. So it was a reasonable INR, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they just said, oh, can you just open a search inquiry on it? And I look it up, and yeah, they did the classic thing, which was they built a new facility and closed down all the other facilities and consolidated it into one before the new facility was ready or experienced or had staff. So guess what
Oh,
happened? It all fell
yeah.
apart, and it's still screwed, and it's been screwed for like 2 months there. And so I wrote them, and I said, yeah, well, I would say the same. I'm sorry you haven't received your item yet. I said, I tried opening a search criteria, but search job, but it wouldn't work, which is true. And they said, and I said, I don't know what I can actually do about it because it's such a bigger issue going on here. The item isn't lost; it's just stuck in a, in some stuck there, like with everyone else's stuff. And they said, oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for answering quickly. Don't worry about it. So it's like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like I find with those things, like I re-uploaded the tracking to eBay and I sent the buyer a message, but that doesn't really close the case. So in a couple of days, we'll find out. I might lose the money on that, but it's not so much money that I'm going to be freaking out about it. I'll contact eBay and just say, well, what else was I supposed to do here if it gets refunded? But I'll wait till that. I won't be surprised if that happens. Let me put it that way.
Well, I know about a couple weeks ago, Shed Flips did some videos on that. And over Christmas, they had a lot of these cases open against them. So I think what they ended up doing is getting reimbursed by the post office company, and having to, first reimburse the eBay buyer, I guess you'd say, and then they had to file a complaint, and they ended up getting reimbursed, even if it shows up. I think it's because it was not within the time guarantee type thing. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a possibility.
so
I'm not sure.
yeah, that was Shed Flips. So I haven't watched really any resellers. I watched a Harry Stone video the other day, but I haven't really been watching any reselling, or I just been watching mostly movies, a little bit of politics stuff, but mostly movies for the lately. I don't know what it is. I used to watch a lot of resellers, but I haven't really been doing that. But
They say traffic is down a lot for reselling channels, actually. So, what I think has happened is there was a hot, like what we talked about this before, but remember poker was really, really hot
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it collapsed kind
yeah,
of. And there's always still people playing poker, but it's not like it used to be. I
yeah.
think reselling was the same way during COVID. It really, really got hot as people had, more time for stuff like that. And I really feel it's dropped off again, back to probably normal levels. I
And you know, there's so much of it out there. Like you just got like
Yeah,
flooded with reselling videos,
I think a lot of that happened too. Yeah.
right?
But when
So,
I go to the thrift stores, there's a lot less resellers, like a lot less.
oh yeah, okay.
So
Well, that's
I'm
good,
yeah, it is good
right?
for those who survived. It's easy, a little easier, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there definitely has been and I think
Well,
the other big thing that happened too is sales during COVID were so hot online, and then they went back to normal online. And I think a lot of people thought, even eBay and Etsy and like Shopify thought that was going to continue for some reason, even though everyone knew it was just a blip. And then when things came back to normal levels, they're like, "Oh, wait a second, I can't just put up anything and get easy money." So
well, tell me if I'm wrong on this theory too. And I'm not. I totally agree with you, but I think there's other variables that could happen, and it could be a combination of a lot. But I think a lot of people put their energy or their faith in thrifting to resell only. because a lot of popular videos were about going to thrift stores
Yeah.
and reselling and doing that for a living. And I think there's a lot of competition, which drummed up high prices at the thrift stores,
Yeah.
and pretty soon it just got impossible. First of all, there's not enough inventory because there's too many people doing the same thing, and the stores caught on to it, so they inflated their prices, which gives you less profit margin. So I think it was just something that's doomed to fail, right? So the only way to counter that is to diversify or completely change up your sourcing methods. Like you still find it successful, but you're not making. There's no pressure to make a living off it for you, right? Like,
Oh God, no. That would
right?
be very frustrating. Yeah.
So I think that's what's happened too. But I mean, I am finding more inventory than like Adam called me the other day, and he had a pick set up for me. Now he broke his leg, so he didn't get a chance to. So Adam, anybody knowing who Adam is Shipping Vintage. He was the guy that would do the Sunday show with me that I used to run a Sunday live show for picking. But he broke his leg, so he missed by 3 weeks an estate with a house, a trailer, and a barn completely full of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I might have talked about this last week when we were talking about people just wanting to get rid of stuff. However, he asked me, would I be interested in this? And I'm like, dude, of course. You know what I mean? Like, of course, a horse is a horse, of course, or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, but I'm like, yeah, I definitely do that. And they hadn't gotten back to him. And what they had done was hire a company to come and clean out everything.
Yeah.
And they hired that company. They were paying a company to come and take stuff where I would have came and took stuff and paid them. So they didn't get back to them. So the day would have been yesterday. Um, so it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's there is so much stuff out here. It's insane. Like I'm finding tons of stuff, and I'm finding different ways of sourcing. So, um, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's you just have to switch it up. Like if you want to do it for a living, you have to find a way to source this stuff very cheaply. And if you can't, it's going to be tough, right? Because it's tough enough as it is. Like there's still people I'm competing with. You know what I mean? Like it's not like everybody's knocking down my door because there's no one else wanting this stuff. It's just there's just so much of it that eventually it falls in your lap, right? So
Yeah. And there's also like a lot of times where you have to account for your time when it's wasted too, right? Like you're gonna
I don't
have
know.
that.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, like if you go out to do a pick, like with the cars or whatever, and there isn't actually much there, or I go thrifting all day and I don't really find anything, or I drive out to an auction place and there's just nothing there. Like there's all that. There's a lot of time like that too.
Yeah, I've never found it to be that extreme,
Mm.
like where it happens often. Like there might be the odd time. Like there's the odd time they just want too much money, and I can't do that because it doesn't make sense for me. But I mean, I still learn something, or I might pick up a couple pieces. Um, but I've never got to the point where like I felt it was interfering too much. Like I think I whined a little bit about those books being very heavy on the front end, and it's a lot of work, and that can be time. I thought maybe that's where you're going with it, Carl. That's why I asked, what do you mean? But um, at the end of the day, it still made sense to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, do you find that though? Do you find like you have situations like auctions or something where
sometimes.
it just wasn't worth going,
Yeah, sometimes.
but like to the point where it affects your like the
Like if I
business?
was full time, I'd prioritize things differently, right?
Okay. No,
Like if I,
I'm just curious. Like, I think we live in, like, we're 8 hours away and we live in such different areas. Like, it boggles my mind. It
yeah,
really, really does. It
I think
boggles
it's just also where the stuff that we've traditionally looked for is different. So, you've built up a lot of the places you source from because I'm sourcing from auctions a lot more than I used to
Yeah.
because now I have a venue to sell it at.
And you were kind of forced to pivot, right? Like,
Yeah,
right? And I mean, oh my God, what's that one online auction house?
Max sold.
Max Sold. Like, I think you've done well with that.
Yeah, but Max sold, like I only will pick up something from Max sold once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
So, because like Max sold is great, right? But it is hit and miss, and will see lots that I want that one, and that's the one everyone wants, right? But sometimes you'll get things you'll be lucky too. But also with Max sold, it's like you have to really account for your time. Because there's a good example. So I saw an auction about an hour away, or 45 minutes or something, right? And there was some good buys there, like books that were selling for $50, right?
Yeah.
And I could get for free or $1, right? And there could have been other hits in that pile, but I wasn't willing to drive out there, drive back. That's 2 hours for a $50 profit, right?
Right.
Because
No,
one,
it's not worth your
it's not,
gas
it's not
time
worth it.
for sure.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like
Yeah.
I'd be making definitely less than minimum wage doing it. Where if I'm in the right mood, I might just go up there and buy that stuff just for the sake of buying something. But in this case, like my Sunday's already gone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little more fussy on my weekend time
Yep.
because that's when I spend time with Amy. And if I'm
Yeah.
going to do that, then either it has to be early in the morning before she's even up, I'm there and back. Not
Yeah.
that she's like, you can't go anywhere. She's not like that. But it's like I need to I'm more like I need to justify that time for
Yeah. Out
something
of
that's okay.
respect for your relationship, you got
E-
to, yeah.
Exactly. And my business, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just not worth the money, even if it
Right.
is a good deal, right?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that. Also, let's be honest, I have a lot of good stuff around me. So it's like I'm not itching for new inventory
Right.
enough to go. And I haven't been in the mood to thrift. Like I could have done it a couple times last weekend. Just I don't feel like it, right?
Yeah.
So there's that too. Like honestly, a lot of my mental energy is being put into the booth, preparing for the booth. And I'm at the point now where, apart from some nitpicking on the setups, I'm pretty well happy with what I got. And I just need to bring in all the crap from home. And because I have a desk to sit at, I can process the stuff there now, where I couldn't process it really before. I had to process it here, which meant less chance of that happening, right? So
Yeah.
now that I can process it there, and I'm also less fussy on prices when I'm there. And I'm like, this is the price, right? Like I'm not going to be very so nitpicky. I already kind of have an idea before it even gets there. And if I'm off by $10, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm getting rid of it, right? It's a different mentality too. So, um, the other big factor to me is like all the stuff that's going on. It creates a lot of confusion online. Is not exactly affecting me right now, but it does create a mental block of like, I could do this, or I can do my other addiction, which is playing video games, where I don't think about anything and I lower my anxiety by playing video games, right? So that's a big struggle for me. But you know, it's good, and it's not just me. Like I was on Two Dogs Digs last night, and I was looking through my sales, and I'm only making a sale once every 2 days, and no home runs. And I hadn't really noticed it. So, like I said, for me, the booth is where I get my enjoyment, and this is about fun for me as much as anything else.
I'm just looking at a map. You're probably, would you say you're an hour from the US border?
Yeah.
So, have you ever thought about like zipping down into the US on a Saturday for like yard sales?
So Northern New York. If there's anyone from Northern New York, I apologize in advance. But it's a wasteland. It's like no one lives there, and it's full of jails. Last time I looked,
Well, you got a casino. You got like,
the nearest place is Syracuse. I think that's any size, And to be honest, I could find stuff here without going into the United States.
But you might find like nice old stuff there. Syracuse is where Primetime Picker or
Right,
Treasure Hunter.
but Syracuse is pretty far. It's another 4 hours or something.
Oh.
Right? Like but honestly, you can't like if I'm gonna find old stuff, Kingston, Brockville,
Kingston would be good.
right?
Brockville, yeah.
Brockville, like so without having to go into the United States. And the older parts of like where I am is along the St. Lawrence because obviously that's where they uh set up farms and stuff because you could use the St. Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
Ottawa really isn't that old, but it's not even like there is areas where I can find the stuff that you find. It's just
Yeah.
that I am learning all that stuff because a lot of that stuff is much better in the booth, right? And now I am sourcing the stuff that you might see as well, but I'm not, I'm not that desperate yet. So like when I go to garage sales, I'll be picking up a lot more stuff, right? I got a taste of that in September when I first got the booth, but
Yeah.
now I'm much more like I can buy that for $3 and sell it for 15, and that's worth my time because I can put that in the booth. Where online, I wouldn't even look at that. That's
Yeah.
the big difference. And you can find a lot more things for $3 that you can sell for $15 than you can find for things selling for $10 they can sell for 50 at a garage sale, right?
Yeah. I just find and I don't doubt that model at all. I just find like if I buy bulk stuff, then anything I'm selling for like three, which is very rare, but let's say $5 to $10, it's not necessarily I picked it up because I could get $10 out of it. It's like I picked up a bundle of stuff and that was part of it,
Yes.
right? So that's why I have it. Um,
For me, it depends on the size of the object too,
but I
right?
bet you if you went into an older town or a couple older towns there in the US, mentality is going to be a lot different. So like they're going to have old like they're going to see a lot more older stuff. I don't want to say that like I know. I'm kind of speculating, but I just think you're going to find I think you would find some like really interesting treasures. Like old antique treasures.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying where I am,
And
that part of the United States of New York State is mostly forests.
well,
And if I want it, I live near Montreal, right?
right.
Which is an old city,
Yeah.
which is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
By the time you get down to the United States, cross the border, deal with the tolls,
Just
right?
find out
It's
where the immigrants are crossing. You don't even need to go to the
just
just go. It's free. Isn't there a place in Montreal that they were talking about? I forget what it's called.
yeah, it's south of Montreal. There's a funny spot south of
Yeah,
Montreal that kind of is part of Quebec, although it kind of looks like it should be part of
I only say
the United States.
Montreal because that's near you. But if you go out west, there's all sorts of those places that aren't really watched. Like there's just like a little concrete pole that
Oh
says
yeah.
Canada on one side, USA on the other. Like there's even one place they were showing where if you drive on one side of the road, you're technically in Canada. The other side of
Oh
the
yeah,
road.
yeah. Those we have towns that are half and half, which hasn't been a problem for like 150 years. Anyways,
but
so
but
there like if I want that stuff, there's lots of stuff around here. I'm not dying for inventory. Let me put it that way, right?
uh,
I It's just
but
the
the
right
urge,
inventory I want.
it's not the dying for inventory to sell. It's the gut pulling you. It's like I want to find the next treasure. You know,
Yeah, I don't really have that pulling me. I
really?
sold a cool apple peeler though on the to my buddy at the flea market. It was funny.
Okay, they was it one of those cast iron older ones?
Yeah, I'm not saying I made a fortune here.
No. Like
Yeah.
I'm asking you which because there's different
Yes.
types. If it's one of those cast iron ones, you could probably get $80 to even 125, but you might be able to get like $80
Well, I didn't get that. I got like 20 or 15.
no, but on eBay. Did you look them up?
Oh, I did look it up a little bit. It was a friend of mine. And so it was 1885. We're just going over it. and it's just I was just gonna I got in a lot for nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I did look it up a little bit before I brought it to the market, and it's old,
Yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily valuable, right?
Because some of them, and they
Some of
even
them are
have the
though.
name embossed on
Yeah,
them on the
yeah,
little
yeah,
wheel and everything.
yeah, yeah.
Like I've sold them and got like $80 for them. I get like 45 out of the booth for them.
I got yeah. Who knows? Maybe I make mistakes. Maybe it was worth
No, no,
more.
no. I'm next. You didn't make. If you make a profit, you're not making a mistake. But if you go look, those are things I would look for in the future,
Yeah.
especially on Etsy. They even go for a bigger money, and I think people are using them.
Oh, you wouldn't want. Well, unless you want to catch something, I wouldn't touch this one.
Well, they look really dirty, but I like. I mean, it's a patina on them. It's kind of like I don't know. I don't know what
It's called
condition or
rust.
brand or whatever yours was, but there's different ones. There's like chromy type metal, like a metal, and then there's ones that are cast iron,
Yeah,
and the
this cast
cast iron
iron.
ones I
Yeah,
find do well.
yeah.
And they're you don't want them all rusted up, but there's definitely going to be a patina on it,
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
right?
It's 150 years old. That thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. So people buy them, man. They're very collect. They used to bring really good money. I don't think they bring what they used to.
Mm.
Um, but I mean,
Prices were all over the place, but this one, like, it didn't really have that value from when I saw people asking a lot of money on eBay.
no, I'm talking solds.
But I'm talking solds. There were no solds for this particular model,
Okay.
right?
And they're
So,
easy to look up because the model and everything is right
oh yeah, it
on
was.
the
I found it.
on the bracket or the
Yeah,
sprocket, I guess you call it. Really,
yeah. No, I found it.
yeah,
Like it wasn't. Yeah, it was easy,
yeah,
but it was just kind of cool. But I got it for free, like I said, in a lot with a
yeah.
bunch of junk. So, uh,
But
anyways,
that's almost a bowl in itself. If anybody's listening, like really,
cast iron apple peelers. Yeah,
yeah. The older ones, like I've got them in the box, and they're newer. I
yeah.
mean,
This is
those are like
definitely not that.
$15. But if you get the old cast iron ones, you know, sometimes they can skip, they get loose and everything. So I don't know if there's a way to tighten them. But you want the ones that are functioning pretty decently.
Yeah, we didn't see any missing parts. Like my buddy and I, Mark from the flea market, who bought it from me, we were going over it, and he brought me
Yeah.
over another one he had, and we were just looking at them and talking about them and stuff like that. We couldn't see any missing parts. So,
And sometimes you'll find a box of them. Like you'll see 3 to 5 of them in a box.
oh, I believe it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one
Like
came
it's
with a
really,
fake apple.
yeah. But so like, I don't know. I would keep an eye out for them personally.
I'd buy it again if it's cheap enough, right?
And yeah. And I don't know. I wouldn't pay more than, I definitely wouldn't pay more than $15 for one, but I think I'd pay $5 to $10 for them for sure.
Yeah,
And you'll see them at auctions.
yeah, and like in this case, I got it pretty well for free because no one wanted to deal with it for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens at auctions too. Some
Oh
people are
shit.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
normally I would buy that. I just don't feel like dealing with it, right? I've done that. Say I would have bought that in the past. I just don't feel like buying it.
And just like we always complain, you know what? I would have had this for $50, but I ended up paying 300 because of that one guy. Well, sometimes that one guy's not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you get the item pretty cheap.
And you're like, what happened? How come I got this so cheap?
Yeah, now you're all worried, right?
Yeah. What did I miss?
Yeah, half the
Yeah.
time it's broken or
Crack.
something
Yeah.
wrong with
Half
it,
the
but
time it's a
sometimes
crack.
it's good, you know?
I bought I got it cheap, but I got it like a Coleman lantern in a box.
Yeah.
And it came, I didn't have a chance to, I didn't look at it pre-auction. And of course it didn't have the globe or anything in it. It's like, oh, well, I paid $5 because everyone else knew already when they were bidding that's a piece of crap, right? Or I know
But
for parts
because it has no
has
globe, but
value.
you'll still be able to
Yes.
sell it for parts and repair, and you'll probably get 30-40 bucks for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought. Anyways, my point being, yes, you're right.
Dude,
Like sometimes,
who check out that number. If it's like, I don't know, 40s or 50s, like if it's an older one, you might do really well in the parts. That was my bolo last week, dude. I gotta stick up for that.
I know.
Anyway,
What else? I got my pick tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
you got your pick. Oh, nice.
Yep.
That lady.
Yep. We'll see how that goes. 'Cause, 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 'cause,
Are you excited?
No,
Really?
no.
What's wrong? What are you expecting to be wrong?
Oh, nothing. I'm just not excited. If it goes well, I'll be excited.
Well, you got to get excited ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
No?
Well, I'll be picking up a belt buckle, World War I belt buckle, no matter what. So,
Oh, you've already committed?
yeah. Well, no matter what, if I'm going to drive there, I'm going to buy that one thing at least. At least then we have a deal, right?
Yeah.
It's better than no deal. So
You
it's a
gonna wear a
pain in the.
camera?
Sorry?
You gonna take
No,
a
I'm not going to
camera?
wear a camera. The worst part is it's a pain in the butt time. Like I could have said no to the time, but she wanted like 4:30 or something like that on
Yeah.
the other side of Ottawa, which is fine. The problem is the traffic.
Yeah.
So I can't just leave here like at 3:45 because I'll never make it on time. So I'll go out thrifting that day and then end up at the place. And then depending on how long it takes, then I'll hit traffic all the way home. But
Do you want me to drive out there and go with you?
yeah, sure. You drive over here. Yeah.
I'll record it secretly.
All right.
I have a little camera right here. I actually have two. I have this little spy camera, which is a pen, but it's actually a camera.
Is that when you want to do that for garage sales or something? So it's less
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or I could do this one, which is it's just a little. It's a little camera thing, but it kind of looks like a camera. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think the average person will see it as a camera, but it's too big to be a key fob. But and you would hold it in your hand, but it's
Oh,
kind of
that
neat.
makes me so sick. Watching that's the problem with those videos is they make me sick with the hidden cameras because you bob up and down.
So you can turn it that way, or this whole thing turns so you can hold it this way like a flashlight. You can hook it on your pocket like this,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
right? So just a little. I haven't even used it. You can still see the plastic on the screen. So, and it's got that red sticker on it too. So, but I have used this, the little pen.
And how'd that go?
It was okay. I went to this because the pen didn't work. I ended up shooting like the ground mostly, like and the pen you can't check the screen to see if you're recording.
Right.
It flashes blue and then it flashes red. So one means on, one means off, but you never know if you're recording or not recording. You know what I mean? Because you can't
Yeah.
see anything, and it's not very. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I ended up shooting mostly the road and mostly just the conversation. Um, so that was brutal. But I don't use the pen, but I'll use the. I'll probably use the other thing if I can do it incognito because I don't want to influence the 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 negotiation part. That's the most important part to me. So I don't
Yeah.
want them to be a different person because there's a camera on them,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So um I would do it in such a way so maybe it doesn't you don't see them, you can hear them, but you can see the video and you can hear or see me. I would do it
If I
that
was
way.
going to use a camera like that, it'd be more like not even talking to them, just showing me walking along the garage sale. We're
Yeah,
not even filming them. And
right.
then might
Definitely
have
wouldn't be
audio.
filming them for
Yeah,
sure.
just have audio only for the negotiation. And even then, I might not even use that bit if I
Yeah,
was going to go through all the rigmarole of doing that.
yeah.
But, you
I might
know,
just carry that one piece with my keys kind of in my same hand. It looks like a key fob,
right.
right? Try to do it that way. Um, but then you're going to probably get jingling of keys in the audio, which is going to be annoying. So I don't know if that'll even work, to be honest. But I don't know. We'll figure something out. I definitely don't want to like. You're not illegally infringing on them because you're allowed if they're out in public and they can be seen in plain view, then they're up for that. But if you're on someone's property and they tell you to get off, their property, then you got to do that. But my point is, I wouldn't want to. I just I wouldn't want to infringe on people's. Uh, I don't even know if feelings the word. Like I just don't. I don't want to be sneaky and vindictive to people. So I wouldn't put them in the video, but I would just have their audio part of it, the negotiation, the sounds, and the video of the item. You know what I mean? And I would try
Yeah.
to chop it up that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Right? If I had the camera out in plain view, that's a different story because then they can see it. They know what's going on. But I guess it's just too sneaky and it might be kind of slimy otherwise, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So
I wouldn't. I'm a long way from doing anything like that.
yeah.
Content.
I don't know if I'm going to. I'll
Yeah.
probably do it a few times, but we'll see how it turns out. But it's going to affect the negotiation. Like if somebody came onto my property because I was having a yard sale with a camera, I'd have no problem. But if somebody was doing it and trying to be sneaky and videotape me, I'd have a bit of an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you almost want to have the open camera because then it's obvious what you're doing. Like you'd ask, do you mind if I videotape for my channel this stuff?
But
Right.
then it affects the negotiation.
Right. Well, then you
Right.
decide if there's anything you really care about first. Maybe I don't know.
Well, what I would, then if there's nothing I care about, it's not going to be good video.
I know you're doomed. You're doomed.
So, but I would do it in such a way that I don't video that person, just the item, because it's just an item. There's lots of items.
No one cares about the person.
Maybe the audio, as long as no names or anything was given out.
Yeah, the negotiation I find interesting, but
yeah. So, but anyway, going on from there, I'm just trying to get some toy soldiers, trying to get some stuff that'll listed and keep busy that way. I think everything else is going is kind of in line with where I need to be.
Good.
So no obstructions or issues or nothing that would upset my sales at this point.
Nothing competing for your time.
Competing for my time?
Yeah.
Well, other than like Stephanie, I don't know. What do you mean?
yeah, exactly.
Nothing really competing for my time except for maybe me. Like, can I get distracted? Yes. I think I've got things pretty much in line. I'm cleaning up a lot of stuff that needs to be gone. It's going pretty quickly. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just I guess I would like to list more, but outside of that, and I say that all the time, things are pretty much going the way I need them to go.
Hey, you're paying the bills. You get to go see movies. You get to have a little nap at. Life is good.
Life is good, and actually, other than maybe listing maybe another 5 items a day minimum, right? It's pretty good. Like it's pretty decent, right? So if I could get another 5 items a day listed, I'd be on top of what I'm doing. And I'm talking, when I say a day, I'm talking 5 days a week, 2 days off. But I think things could be good. But I would hope to be able to do more than just 5 more items a day. Like I'd like to get 10 more items a day, So anyway, I don't know. That's where I would like to be.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem having goals, right?
Yeah. Outside of sitting on a NHL bench playing hockey with Sidney Crosby, I don't know.
The funny thing about this business too, it's not really like fixed hours, is it? So my busiest time for like this is actually on the weekends rather than during the week. So my Sundays are obviously the most time I put into this is Sundays, because that's going to be at least 10 hours. And then Mondays, I usually don't do anything. Maybe shipping right now. Like I have so few sales, but even the stuff I do sell is so easy to ship. It takes me like not more than an hour at most to pack everything and take it out. So,
all right, Carl. So what time is it now?
It's time for Bolo of the Week.
Bolo of the Week.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
You got
I'll
a
go
bolo?
first this week. Yeah, I'll
Sure.
go first. So I picked up these fairly regularly. Well, one of the types. So these are little printers, label printers, and so you'll see thermal printers, and you'll just see normal label printers. So the thermal printers, they can go used, like a Zebra one could go from 50 to 100, $150 used. Um, and anyone who's shipping stuff probably should be using a printer anyways. Now, thermal printers you're not going to see as much, but what I'd like to do is I really do prefer if it has the power cable and the connection cable to the computer. And the one I see a lot is actually the normal label printers by Dymo. And if you can find those, I really want those with the power cable and the connection cable. And they sell for between 50 to 100 American. And you'll see those a lot. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, I know it's kind of boring, but you'll see them at thrift stores all the time as all the resellers are giving up and giving in their equipment. So, yep, that's it. I don't know. It's something to look for, and I like selling them. I like the money.
I'll have to look more into it. I've never sold that kind of thing before.
Well, it's more of a thrift store thing.
Okay.
Like, you're not going to really see them very often at the garage sales or auctions. I think this is mostly a thrift store thing, but it is something that gets donated as businesses die, and they're donating all their stuff. So you can see it a lot, or relatively often, I should say.
Okay. Very good. Did you say a price range on those, Carl?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry, what was that?
So for thermals can be like 50 to 100, 150, 200
Okay.
for thermals. You're not going to see thermals as much, right?
Okay.
You see there's Zebras, but there's lots of different brands, any thermal one. And things that look very similar is the Dymo printers, and they can sell for 50, 100, 150 as well. Probably there's some that sell for the $20 to $30 range. I won't really pick up.
Yeah.
But like I said, just make sure it has the power cables to this stuff, and hopefully the connection cable, especially
Probably
the
could you probably sell how much could you sell a power cable for? Connection cable.
I'm not
Connection
sure.
cable is probably cheap, but the power cable might be worth something.
Yeah, it might be. It's just I don't know how often you're gonna just find that, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're at the thrift store, they have wire, like a bunch of power stuff on the wall. But even I don't look there.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, what's a backup plan in case the printer doesn't work when you get it home? Could you sell
The
the
backup
power?
plan is throwing it out.
Wasteful, wasteful, wasteful.
I know, but like honestly, that's what if it didn't work, I'd just throw it out.
Okay.
That's part of the gamble of all this. Anything electronic is a bit like that.
Yeah.
But at least if it doesn't work, then at least you can keep all the other cables. So if you do have one that doesn't have that stuff, you're good to go.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So I guess my bolo of the week. My bolo of the week is something that I've had for a very long time. And this is the first time you use the word "this show is fake" on my Sunday.
Oh wow. I forgot all about that. That was an in thing for a little bit.
Yeah, you were that was your in thing, not the in thing. That was Carl's in
I
thing.
stole that from Tommy, remember?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
No, I think you created that, to be honest.
Okay.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on from the shenanigans of that time, Carl. So I have these still. I'm getting ready to list them finally. But I did show it on the show, and this is probably a year ago, and I got these at a yard sale, and I really didn't know what they were. I just thought they were kind of neat. But it is mini store display tents.
Okay,
Store
I'm gonna actually
display
have to
tents.
Google this because I don't know
So
what on earth you're talking about.
I got 3 or 4 of these things. I think 2 or 3 of them are Coleman. But they're sample tents. There's displays that they would put on the shelf. So you didn't have to
right,
open up a full tent.
right.
You know, it's like to scale,
Yeah.
but it's very small. It's probably the size of a football. It could be a little larger than that. Um, but it's the tent, and it actually to scale is exactly like the tent you're going to buy. The way
So
it
they used to
looks.
call these salesman samples,
That's what I
and these
called it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they used to do it with like furniture and stuff.
Yeah, it's not so much a salesman sample where he goes door to door trying to sell it. It's more of like a store sample, like a store display sample,
Right.
right? So you would go to a Canadian Tire, I guess in the US you would go to like maybe a Walmart or something, and they would have had this on the shelf, and underneath it would be boxes filled with the actual life-size tent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what people are using them for, and I
They're
do
cats.
see that what's that?
They're cats.
They're cats, possibly. Um, I do see that they've dropped a little bit in price in some ways, and I see that there's more for sale. Not a lot for sale, but I see a few more for sale than what has sold. So you might be hanging on to them for a little bit now, but I still think if you get them for cheap, I think you have to buy them. I heard some people are using them for displays, like say they got GI Joe or they got some sort of setup like that. They might do a like a what do you call it, like a nativity scene or something like that. But they'll use them for that. But some of the older ones, some of the more vintage ones, you can get really good money for. The more modern ones, you're probably looking at about anywhere from $50 to $100, maybe a little bit more. But for the old ones, like I'm looking at one here that's probably 50s or so, 50s, 60s, or it could be older, but it's got to be at least 60s to 50s. And they got 200 for it.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, and that's US dollars, sorry. That's US 200. So that's probably 250, 260 Canadian. Um there's another one there. This one was an auction for 80 American, and it was the metal pole. So this one would have been probably from the 70s, 60s or 70s. So they are sellable. People do desire them.
Mm-hmm.
I paid like $5 and I got like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh wow.
The problem is, and the reason I haven't listed is because they're a couple of them are missing poles, but all the poles were all together. So I have to go through
Oh, figure out which is
and
which.
figure
Yeah.
which is which. And I started doing it, and then I'm like,
Yeah. This is boring.
yeah, like this is I'm not doing this today.
Yeah, I get that.
Goes in a box, and then it's been kicking around ever since. But it's silly of me because probably within an hour or two, I'd have it all set up, right? Like
Yeah.
if you could imagine setting up a real tent, like you're going camping, and then you
Oh
had
god.
5 of them, and all the poles were all mixed up. Like that's
Oh
pretty
no.
frustrating, right?
Uh,
So,
Tents are so much better nowadays. Like from when I was a kid.
yes,
Like a
yeah,
kid, it was like, how do we put this together? And modern
yeah,
tents is 5 seconds.
yeah, without question. Um, however, these things can bring money. So
Yeah, that's really different.
yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. I have it in the room next door here, and I've been looking at it all week, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to get to these things, but I just don't want to. So
I know. I have just wandering around. Like
yeah,
we took a little break, and it's like, oh my god, there's a camera here. There's like valuable electronics over here. It's like, ugh, I don't want to.
yeah, it's just going to be a headache. But like, I mean, how many toy soldiers can I list in the time that it's going to take me to sort this mess
Well,
up?
that's it, right?
But
Yeah,
but
exactly.
not like if you don't have like 1,000 toy soldiers to list, these things can be pretty good too. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I thought I'd just throw that out there as a bolo. I don't know if you like, I don't know, maybe a smaller town's a little bit more or so, but if I'm wondering if I need to start like getting some sort of rapport with like the Walmart, the Canadian Tires in this area, and just say, hey, listen, I'd love to buy these displays off you because I'm sure it's going to run more than just tents, right? They probably have this kind of stuff for a lot of things.
Right. It'd be really hard though, because those guys don't care. It's not like they're making. It's not like a small independent business, right? It's
Well, that's
like,
what I'm saying. But if I make that rapport, they, like I don't know. I don't know what kind of stuff I'm looking at to be able to offer any type of substantial payment to them. Like,
Right.
here, I'll give you $500 a month. You give me all your store displays. I don't know if they're worth anything, but I would definitely like for the tents. I would there's like I went to the movies last night and I saw it's probably about a 3 foot uh display of a movie, but it was Dogman, and it's just a cardboard thing. But I'm like, you know what? Somebody would probably like that. You know?
And in the back, they're just like taking bats to that stuff, right? The kids
Yeah, they
don't
just
care.
crumple it up and put it in the
Yeah.
garbage. There's no
Using
question.
little pellet guns,
Yeah,
on them. Yeah.
but I'm just thinking, maybe you have to go out and maybe it's a sourcing thing that people do, or it's something to tap into because nobody's doing. I don't know.
Oh, it could be there's lots of interesting things like that. Like, I
Right.
don't touch retail arbitrage, but a lot of people do that, right? So,
But I just kind of see a value onto almost anything anymore. You know what I mean?
right.
Anything
Yeah.
that's odd, or pulp culture sells, so you look at things differently. But this is one of those things that I'm going to throw it as a bowl.
Cool.
The tent displays, yeah, store displays.
Awesome.
But I mean, you mentioned the word salesman sample. That's almost a bolo on its own, and it could fall under this. But if you get vintage antique salesman samples, especially the older stuff, like maybe a little stove or something like that too, like that's a good bolo. You kind of, it's not really what I was saying, but you said the word store or salesman sample. That's a great little thing too, right? Because a
Yeah.
lot
I've
of
never
those,
seen one, though.
you've never seen them.
Not in real life. Like, I've seen them on, in shows and stuff like that, but not just
Oh,
wandering around. Not that I know of.
well, sometimes you might not know it, right? Like,
Yeah.
um,
They kind of look like
but
toys.
yeah,
So basically, like we just said, they're
they do
miniature
look like
versions of
toys.
things.
Yes.
Like, so you might have a chest of drawers. So, like, back in like 19th century, early 20th century, they're like, I'm not gonna haul around this,
Cast iron stove,
yeah,
right?
right. So they, like, in the back of the wagon, they would have small versions of like the indoor stoves, and then you could just pick which one you want, right? So,
Yeah. Yep, for sure. All right, buddy. There it is.
yay!
Bowl of the week
Brought to you by Tina.
by Tina Mac. Well,
Okay,
speaking of Tina Mac, why don't we get right into what are we doing next, Carl?
comments.
Comments. And so I'll hit Spotify, where Tina Mac resides is on Spotify. And she's got one here. Darn, hardly got anything listed. Short episode. Oh, I guess they like the long episodes too, eh? Tina does. Randy does. The dolls you were thinking of, Scott, were Ever After High. That's correct. That's right. Yep. They sell, but not as high as the Monster High. I pick up a doll. I see pre-90s, and I lot them up. They always sell. Huh. Lot them up's a good idea too. Like, if you're not familiar with the dolls and stuff like that, and you maybe can't find them, or they're the lesser dolls, you could probably just lot them up like Tina's doing.
Yeah, I did that, or I threw them in the booth.
All
So
right.
the
Well,
next one. Yeah, thank you, Tina. Sorry.
no, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
thank you, Tina, for your comment. I was going to do the next one from Adam Wakefield.
Oh, you can see them now, Carl.
Yeah, well, I learned by logging in, you can actually see the comments.
Oh, well, you know
Yeah,
what? It only took you a year.
I know, right? What do you guys do when you research an item but cannot find the exact comparison to be able to come up with a value? Yeah, I cry. So when I do the research, I check eBay solds, obviously eBay actives, TerraPeak, Google Lens, and that's usually about it. I know some people use WorthPoint. I don't do that. If I still come up with a blank, you just have to kind of guess. So, like, you have an example of that, right? With the Zeppelins or the airships.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I did with that one is couldn't really find a comp on it. So I
These
just kind
were
of
flat.
guessed.
What they were flat
Yeah, it
airships.
was a flat metal. 1900, 1920s, in that era. It would have been as like a Zeppelin.
Yeah.
So uh, it was like a flying balloon for military. Are they all called Zeppelins?
No.
No.
That
So this
Zeppelin,
one would not have been a Zeppelin,
yeah.
but it was that kind of style.
And it was definitely would have been French. Adrian told me that last night. It would have been French, which is right. Because remember we found two? We thought it
I
was
think
either
you said it was Britain.
yeah, I found French too.
Oh,
So it looks like it was French. So that's the other problem too, is when you're trying to comp this really old stuff, you could get bad information back too.
yeah. So what I kind of did is just, it's a lead soldier type, like it belonged to that type of group of toy.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to base it on a figure. Figures go for about 30 to 35 bucks, kind of loose like that for the most part. So I priced it in that range. I should have probably priced it a little bit higher
Mm-hmm.
because it sold like within 6 minutes. Like it literally sold so quickly. I couldn't believe it.
So that's going to happen sometimes too when you don't know.
Right. Right.
Sometimes what people will do, I don't do this, but sometimes people will put things at auction with a minimum price of what they're willing to accept.
Yeah.
If they think it's rare and there's demand for it. I have not done that, but I have heard people get success that way for obscure stuff. You know, you could sell cheap, but at least you gave it a chance for people to find it if it truly is in
Yeah,
demand.
I guess I could have put this up for an auction. That didn't cross my mind, although I have put things up for auction before. Um, I mean, my concern at that time, and I think I said this on the show, is if you suspect it's not going to be more than 50 bucks, how much time do you really want to put into the research? I give this sucker like 10 minutes. I'm
Right.
going to research this thing for 10 minutes. If I can't find it on a quick Google lens, I'll try to find it somehow. But I can't see it being a $500 piece. So I'm not going to put it 2 hours into it or a day. You know what I mean?
That rabbit hole can be very tempting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done that before. So I think you got to kind of watch that. So there's nothing wrong with guessing. I mean, if you got $10 or less in it and you're gonna pretty sure it's a $50 item and you sell it in 6 minutes for 50 bucks, I mean, that's fine. Like, to me, in my mind,
yeah.
because I'd rather do that than to spend 3 hours and find out it's worth 50 bucks or 30 bucks. If it's worth 30 and you put it for 50, you're gonna find out 6 months later that it's probably worth 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Well, that's it. That's what I was gonna say. Usually, what I'll do is if I have something like that, I'll put a really high price on it and just see if there's any action on it.
all right, Tina, thanks for that. Adam, thank you for that. And all right, Carl.
YouTube. I'll start from right selections. Dawn. Carl, way to finally schedule the private pick. Yeah, awesome. If you're picking up matches, just beware you can't send those with a cross-border shipper. I imagine Canada Post wouldn't want you to ship them either. Great item for the booth market, though. Yeah, that's where I would sell them. Unless I'm too paranoid. I know other people don't care, but I would only sell a matchbox without the matches. But I haven't really sold a lot of matches.
I would totally ship matches.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I'm just saying I'm paranoid. I know a lot of people would just do it anyways.
Yeah.
Laugh out loud, Scott. Asbestos in the horn. The horn doesn't make the car go vroom, so probably no asbestos. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to worry about the horn catching on fire. What?
Brakes don't make it go vroom.
No, it can't catch on fire though, right?
What?
Brakes? Like if you use them enough? There's probably a lot of heat in brakes, I assume.
Oh,
especially the old ones.
Asbestos.
Yeah, but that's what asbestos was used for, right? To protect against heat?
Well, I'm saying asbestos were in brakes.
Yes.
They're not in the horns.
Oh,
she goes,
right.
They're only
they're
only into the parts that go vroom. And I'm like, asbestos are in brakes, but the brakes don't go vroom. They go stop.
That's true.
All right. Go ahead, Carl. Keep going.
Carl, don't worry. I don't want to deal with dirty old car parts either.
More for me.
Well, there you go.
Me.
I'm okay with new ones or with things like hood ornaments if I come across them. Yeah, I see those at auction sometimes. But I'm no grease monkey. I got a few more car parts on Friday, and fortunately, one of them appears to be used damaged. Same with one of the toys I got. Yeah, that happens. What I love is when you think something's sealed, and then you like get it home and you realize it's been cut open and nicely put back into the package. I bought like I thought I was getting new blades, like for razors and stuff like that, and the person put their old blades in the new package and then
Stupid.
donated their used blades to the thrift store.
Yeah,
Who
that's
does
so.
that?
Who does it? That's crazy.
Uh, it's just the risk with these types of auctions. Amazon returns. Yeah. Some of the crap you get will be crap. Luckily, I didn't spend much on those items. There's actually a
Well, that.
store.
Go ahead, Carl.
I was saying there's actually a store nearby that has, those pick things, which is Amazon returns. Like first day is $25 and the last day is like $1 each or something. I never go. It's like 2 minutes from my house, like, or even a minute.
Well, I'm gonna say probably 80% of what I do is wrapped up in the last sentence that Dawn did there in that paragraph. I know she's got more coming up, but luckily I didn't spend much on those items. I'm not a car expert by any means at all. So I'm kind of that it's gotta fit a certain look. It's gotta be it's gotta look older, it's gotta look interesting, it's gotta be something that is a car part or decal or something. I want to use the word speak to me. I don't know if that works or not. But
Special,
anyway,
something special.
well, it's got to like I don't
I
even
know
know
what you're saying. You're
what
going to say something that has an eye appeal by
like
itself.
something that stands out, right?
Yeah,
So, and then I'm going to try to take a chance on it for a little amount of money.
because
So,
sometimes, like,
so for
yeah,
instance, the car parts. Remember that pick I was invited to like months ago, probably in the
yeah,
summertime.
yeah, where they had a whole bunch of really old stock stuff,
But it
but it
was
was
a ton
dirty.
of stuff. But I
Yeah,
didn't feel comfortable spending that money because it didn't speak to me. It didn't feel expensive. It didn't feel that it was something that had the big value. And I could have been totally wrong. 100% I was probably wrong. Because there was a few things that did, but overall the whole amount for what I was getting and the work inquired or needed for it, it didn't I didn't just say, "Oh, there's a big pile of car parts. That's gold mine." I'm like, it just doesn't work for me. I can't feel it. But then for, you know, three shelves of stuff that were in boxes that I could hardly see, but a few things spoke to me. You pay $300 for the whole shelves, and then in there is one item that pays for everything. Well, it's kind of lucky, but I'm like, okay, these are Model A car parts. I recognize the ignition coil boxes. This is what I can get for them. I see five of them. It's in a box. They're kind of heaping the top. If the rest of the box is full of these things, which most of it was, there's my money back. Like, I'm kind of justifying it at the time, and everything else is bonus. And then I sell a fan for $185. You know what I mean? And different parts are worth 50 to 100 or more money. Like, I mean, there's a thing that I haven't even spoke of here, but it's the gauges on a dash of a 1955 Chevy type thing. It's worth like $300, like
mm,
$250 American. So like $300 Canadian. Uh I didn't know what that was worth or what people like had paid for it. I don't know if there's the big desire for it because it's sort of rare. But I'm taking a chance, right? Because I feel the price was right.
right.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with Don here. I didn't spend much on those items because I found the value in the one box of the coil ignitions that's going to basically pay for everything else. So I'm not taking that chance. Does that make sense, Carl?
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
What I get annoyed at is when you give someone a great deal and they made so much money on all these different items, and then one item is bad, and they bitch and bitch and bitch about that one item. And it's like, but you're making so much money. You made so much money in the entire deal, but some people get caught up and like you're gonna have to accept that there's gonna be some bad in with the good, right? So,
Like you've experienced that.
oh yeah, not
Really?
maybe too much, but I've heard of people complaining about stuff like
I would
not
never
you.
complain.
No, you're not you. You're willing
Like
to accept
like
that,
look
right?
at those books. There's so many books I had to
I
throw
know.
out that were just
Garbage, yeah.
horrible. But I knew that going in, I guess. Like I knew
Yeah.
not all the books are going to be worth anything. I wouldn't sit there and, hey, look, I bought 3,000 books. Every single one of them better be worth
Yeah,
something.
I know, right?
But yeah, that would tick me off too, for sure.
Sounds like you both had a good week. That's great to hear. I'm surprised about the Coleman lanterns. I know they used to be hot, but a couple of years ago it seemed like they weren't very desirable, but maybe they made a comeback. Or have you noticed a fluctuation at all over the last 5 years or so, Scott?
I would say that I did say this that they can be a little bit of a longer tail item in the booth. I haven't sold them online yet. I just because it's one of those things that you do have to take apart, and I got tons of toy soldiers and a lot of things that is quicker to do. Um, so I can't tell you how quickly they sell online, but they definitely sell out of the booth. But like I said in the last show, they could sit for a bit. Um, I think they're always desirable. I think there's collectors out there. I think some are definitely going to be more desired than others. There's no question about that. Like Harry Humstone's going to be able to give you exactly what types there are because he collects them himself. I just know if you can get them for $10 or less, you pick them up because for parts and repair, you're going to make money, even if it's just the glass globe. But for parts and repair, you'll make money, and some of them can be worth hundreds of dollars to $1,000, right? So
Yeah, I don't know a ton about Coleman lanterns, but I would definitely get more excited about non-green ones, which is a very general, I understand, but I
um,
see.
okay, that's fair. But
Yeah.
But it, like if you're picking them up for $5 or $10,
Oh, okay. If it's $5 or $10, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I would
You
pick up,
know,
like I said, I would pick up anything for $10 or under
yeah.
because you don't know it could be that rare one, but at least you're
Exactly.
going to still make some money.
Exactly. But if they're asking 2025 and
Then you
it's
better make sure it's one of
I
the
wouldn't
higher end ones
yeah, so
because there's going to be work to be done, and by the time you sell it and get your fees and everything, you're not going to have much on the table. So
no. And
you
they can
want to
be
be
bits
comfortable.
missing too, right?
What's
And I
that?
think there can be bits missing
Or damaged. Like it could
or
work,
damage. Yeah.
but you might have a bad part in there still. Like what doesn't give it a hot enough flame or something. You still might get a spark, but or it might be spinning because it's got a hole like a rusted leak in it. So that's why I'm saying I would just put it for parts and repair unless you refurbish them or you know exactly what is missing, and then you got to get that part and replace it, and it's a ton of work. I would rather just buy it for $10 or less, put it parts and repair. Even if it's one of the more expensive ones, parts and repair, it's still going to be more valued than a working green one from 1970. It's
Mm-hmm.
still going to be worth more as a parts and repair.
Yeah.
So look them all up, and I would just clean them up, put them parts and repair, take good pictures. That's about it.
The ones I see are always in need of a lot of cleaning and or repair, and I don't know what to do with them, and I'm lazy. My brother would probably do well with them if he went that route, though. He
I'll
mostly
tell you
sells
what you.
records.
I'll tell you what you do. Go on eBay, search Coleman Lantern parts and repair, and just see how they're taking photos of it and listing it, and then you know what to do. Then when you go out you see one out in the wild, you know what to do.
Exactly. For me, I see lanterns and see a project, and if my past behavior is any indication of my future behavior, and it is, things like that would end up in my garage collecting even more dust. I'm the same way, Don. But I think there are lots of other people who are lazy like me and Carl. There you go. So it opens up more opportunities for people who have no problem with projects because the monetary return is so much higher than some other items. Yeah, and you know what? Like I talking to Serge and talking to the guy doing co-signing, they do a lot of work on stuff that they get,
Yeah.
and like will fix stuff. And I just know myself, I'll never fix it.
Well,
So
and I know I touched about this during last week's bolo on this, but I'm not into projects either. Like I'm not going to fix stuff, but I think cleaning is part of the job. It's not really a project to me. It's just I find a lot of stuff in old barns and different things. I know you can count it as a project, but I'm not. I think almost everything needs to be cleaned and wiped down anyway.
oh yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm. I've always, even my toy soldiers. I've meticulously looked at them when I put my glasses on, and I'm looking at them with lots of light. I'm looking for chips. I'm wiping them down with a Q-tip because if they left out, they've got a lot of dust around hats and
yeah,
in
yeah.
crevices. So they do take a few minutes to even clean those toy soldiers, and I've got 1,000, so I'm doing lots of them, right? So I think everything needs like when I'm this is the way I look at it. And the booth's a little bit different, but I still try to keep this. If I'm selling something, or if I'm buying something and I go to a store, I don't want to buy a project either,
No,
right? I don't want to buy something that now I have to clean it. If I'm selling something and I'm asking top dollar for it, I'm going to make sure that it gets there so they can take it out of the box and they can put it on a shelf. You know what I mean? Technically, if
yeah,
it's a glass or a plate, like they could eat off it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm. Not that I would advise that, but I'm just saying that's how I'm selling it to them, right? So it's they don't have to deal with it, right? Now, if it's parts or repair, it's still going to get a bit of wipe down or clean, but I don't have to worry about making sure it's working or anything, right? It's parts and repair. This they know it's not working. Does that make sense, Carl?
yeah. I clean stuff all the time.
I yeah. So cleaning
There
to
is a
me
limit
is
to my cleaning though. Like sometimes you'll get toys that are just so gross, and I'll give them a superficial clean. But if they're that bad, I'll put it in the listing that these will need another good clean. When it comes to stuff in the at the booth, I actually have Windex and everything there, and
yeah,
Q-tips. I just bought Q-tips just for that reason.
yeah.
Is I will do cleaning while I'm there. It depends on the item though. Like on some of the stuff, it's just like a box full of crap. Like it might not even be worth it, right? Like if, for example, McDonald's toys that are in the wrappers, if the wrappers are a little dirty, I probably wouldn't bother with that because I'm only going to get $5 anyways. And they're,
Take them
I
out of the wrapper.
well then you've destroyed a lot of the new value, right?
Well, or throw it away. You either got value or you don't. Like I'm just saying, there's the option to take it out of the wrapper,
Or you could do whatever you want, right?
right?
Like I'm just saying, generally, like cleaning's the easiest thing ever, right? Like I'm not going to clean a painting or something like that, but I'm going to, all this other stuff I'll do. So
Yeah. So I don't call that part of a project because I think
no,
that's in the process, anyways. There are limits. Like if I'm getting something out of a garage that is caked on grease because it's been sitting there for
oh
70 years in a
yeah,
garage,
yeah,
that could be a bit of a project. So if I'm going to get $20 for that item, I'm probably just going to throw it out. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have bought it to begin with, but if it was in a lot of stuff, and I've already kind of got my money made back and maybe some profit, I'm probably throwing that item out because it's going to take me to clean that all my like it's going to take me an hour.
hmm
I'm probably not going to do it right for 20 bucks.
no, no,
But if it's something worth $500, I'm going to take an hour and clean that sucker good,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Like some projects, I know, like I deal with board games. A lot of times with board games, the corners are broken. I know people. I have some friends who actually will fix the corners. There's ways of doing that. I
Well,
generally won't.
board game's a great example because you might not have to clean it so much, but you still have to count the pieces and account for everything and look at the instruction manual to make sure you got all the pieces and all that kind of stuff. So it's still the same as cleaning. It's you know what I mean? Like I don't count that as a project either. Do you?
Oh, you just reminded me of something. Yeah. Uh,
You
it
went
is a bit
blank
of a
there, Carl.
project, but honestly, I have cheat sheets for board games because I'm only going to sell board games worth good money. And already,
For sure.
so usually, and it's actually repeat games that I'm buying. It's not necessarily ones I've never touched before. So I actually have a cheat sheet in a book that just says all the parts for all the different board games I get. So I don't have to look for it online or find it. I just have a little easy way for me to quickly count parts.
Yeah.
That helps me a lot.
It's just interesting how people perceive projects. Like I just think it's amazing, which is awesome. Like but we like you and I definitely think things differently, but how we all see things kind of differently. You know what I mean? We're actually agreeing on this is how we describe a project. You know what I mean? So we agree on
Right.
something, Carl. We
There
have
you go.
common
Yep.
ground.
Moon. Yeah. What do they say? Clocks right
Clocks
twice a day.
right twice a day. Broken clocks right twice a day.
Another project I have is like those Liberty puzzles.
Oh yeah,
That really need to be done, right?
yeah.
And you just reminded me because I was going to give it to my mother-in-law and get her to do it because she likes doing puzzles. Because I won't do well. I don't actually. Amy doesn't mind puzzles, but these are complicated.
If she knows you're reselling it, she's gonna want payment, though, right?
She will. She will 100% want payment. I used to pay her to do pencils, but I don't pick up as many pencils anymore. And she made good money doing that.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Projects. So you're on the last. It says Carl and Bolt and
Oh yeah. But I think there are lots of other people who are lazy like me. Yeah, and Carl, blah blah blah. So it opens up more opportunities. Yep, like anyone who wants to deal with all that stuff, more power to them, right? You know, honestly, my favorite thing is like your toy soldiers, especially things that are sealed. Like I've been selling a lot of audio tapes, cassette tapes. It's so damn easy and they're worth good money. It's
dude,
like my favorite combo.
If these toy soldiers were sealed, man,
oh man, it's so nice. You just pump them out, right?
I think eBay would probably shut me down thinking I stole them or something.
Yeah. I love new sealed those soles you got for shoes.
Oh, those
are
great.
That stuff, right? Like I don't need something to be old and special. You know, if you're making good money on it. My favorite buy is still stupid filter paper, which I sold all of, all new in package, all multiple quantities. It's like I love that stuff.
Well, the thing about the insoles, it's even better because you could do one for quantity of listings, right? Like one listing maybe for 12 insoles.
Exactly. One picture, back and forth, all sealed. Nothing to worry about them being broken.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. Beauty. But those are so far and few between, right?
It is. And you're never going to see it again, but you'll never forget.
Or few and I think I said far and few between, but few and far between. There we go. All right. So, Carl, you're at the last paragraph, by the way.
Yeah, Carl, did you pronounce Z as Z? Do I need to revoke your Canadian card? Yeah, wow. I switch back and forth. Like I don't even know what is the Canadian one. Z?
I don't know. I just see trader, not trader, trader, not trader.
I'm not even gonna. Yeah, Brad stalls are so weird to me.
That's what Don's saying. That's how I'm reading that.
Where does it say trader? It doesn't say that there.
I'm reading between the lines here. That's what I'm doing.
You want to read? Brad stalls are so weird to me. Yeah, they are weird. I call them horror doll because that's probably not very appropriate. But I know people used to collect them. They still do. Not sure if they are as desirable as things like Monster High or whatever the current thing is. So I think they're about like both collectors are very passionate. Like with Monster High and with Bratz, like some worth like 10, 15 and some worth like hundreds. So but hey, if you can get them at the right price, why not? Do you have a binder for Bratz, like your Thomas Bryant binder?
Wow.
No, I don't, because I don't find them enough.
You have a Thomas Bryant binder too?
Yeah. Cool. You know what? You know what's sad now? If I'm going through the Valley Village, the toy section,
yeah,
and there's Thomas trains, and there's one I haven't seen before, I'll buy that no matter what. Just so I can see a new one.
Have you ever had the guy that's on that pump cart?
No,
Okay. I have.
there's Thomas.
Thomas Train. I think he's worth like $30.
Oh, nice. If you get the square magnet ones, they can be worth hundreds. But I've only ever seen one, I think, and it was really roached.
All
Okay,
right.
woo, that's first half. Second
Wow.
half.
She's got some replies too.
Yeah, you do the second half here.
Today's best quote. Read more? What? Holy crap. Today's best quote. Just because you got a bag of feet.
Right, for the Brad stalls. Yeah, okay. I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell is she talking about? Yeah. Okay.
Because you said you got a bag of feet of Brad stalls.
Yeah, they're great.
And I said, how do you know if they're real? And I think I said, just because you got a bag of feet.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's how that went. Rick from Two Dogs knows how to prettify doll hair. Oh, I think he said he wets it and puts conditioner in it. Wow.
Talk about projects.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have conditioner.
Yeah, what a shampoo, man. That's it. What's this conditioner stuff?
Yeah, I got Old Spice bar of soap, and I'm just kidding.
You're lucky at shampoo.
In there while combing, so the comb goes through more easily, which makes sense, but it's not real hair. It's more like a synthetic stuff, I thought.
Well, Craig from Two Dogs Digs is a Barbie collector, so they know what
he
they're
knows
doing.
the tricks, eh?
Yeah.
And then rinse well and be gentle so you don't rip it all out. I think the dolls you were trying to remember that are close to Monster High are ever after high. I think you're right there for sure. And PPL is people. Okay. We ended up having to get a new furnace. All vents were clear of snow. The motor just died. Getting used to the new one is going to take a while. Smart thermostats suck because we got one here and it keeps going. It keeps like going out, or it keeps jumping to a low temperature.
Yeah, we're having a huge problem with our Nest, and it makes me very angry.
Yeah. And sensors, and we have hot spots and cold spots. Yeah,
we have that
used
too.
to it. It'll just keep doing that.
Yeah.
The rugs Randy, the rugs you mentioned are different. So she's talking to Randy. This isn't Randy's comment. This is her talking to Randy. The rugs you mentioned are different from hooked rugs. Rag rugs are usually oval and look like they're braided. Is that what you mean? Shaggy beaver rugs. That is all. Those are from the Shaggy Beavers are from the 70s for sure. Right, Carl?
Yeah.
You are likely right. It was when I was a kid back in the Dark Ages. I think Mom had a plastic grid that the rags were looped through. Could be, says Don. So, all right. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Don. That's kind of like that's kind of like a music tune. Don, Don, Randy, Don, 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 Randy, Don, 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 Randy, Don, 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 Randy.
We're getting. It's been 2 hours, so that's getting a little loopy at this point. Okay, doing it wrong. Bratz, Monster High, Rainbow High, and a couple of others are basically the same family. They're all just spicy Barbies.
Spicy Barbies.
Yeah, Don also liked spicy Barbies. They make brushes and such for dolls for relaxer detangle products. Find a Barbie reseller online and watch how they do it. I don't do it usually. I sell them in lots and they go easily peasy. Yeah, I think like My Little Pony is kind of the same thing. Like people say you should fix the hair of My Little Pony. I don't know. I have to be really damn bored at the booth if I'm sitting there combing doll's hair. But more power to you if you're willing to do it.
Well, I'm gonna throw this out there, and you tell me if you agree with me or not, Carl. But I'm thinking, as long as there's a way to deal with that hair, and you describe it as being kind of tangly, the person that's buying it will probably rather do it themselves their way anyways.
I would think so, but
You know what I mean?
someone told me that it's much better to sell them looking
Fixed.
looking fixed. That doesn't mean I do that. In fact, I just sold a My Little Pony going to England yesterday, so and I
Like
definitely did
I
not comb the
can
hair.
okay, if you know what you're doing and you've done it and it's you're not gonna wreck the doll,
Yeah.
then doing it is probably better for the value of the sale. But if it takes a long time or you don't really know what you're doing, then to take a little bit of a lesser price but explain it.
It's usually pretty obvious in the pictures though when the hair
Yeah, but
isn't
I would still
done.
kind of write it too because but I agree it should be obvious for sure.
If I was doing a lot of dolls, like then yeah, I would spend the time to learn it, and it'd be worth the time. Maybe if I find more, like it's a
And
balance.
nobody's watching.
Yeah, no. Well, I'd be ready the booth too, just like la la la
Oh
la
yeah.
la.
Woo. And when someone comes by,
Like
you go,
I know. It's like my toy soldiers though. Like I'd be like
you're,
perfectly
yeah.
fine with that. Hypocrite. Okay, you want to do the next one?
Is it doing it wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, for Coleman Lanterns, a few of the good things to look out for are gold bond. They're mustard yellow and given away for retirement. Christmas tree, green and red. I think Christmas tree is Harry's favorite.
Yeah.
Green and red. Round globes or fence post globes, and probably because of what's going on with our government run by toddlers, United States Forestry Service lanterns sell particularly well. I'm gonna have to punch in that keyword there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Forestry Service
And
lantern.
I'm not sure what fence post globes are either, so I'm gonna have to look at that.
There's a read more here. Just hang on a sec here. Also, while you sell propane lanterns, kerosene ones or dual fuel are the ones to watch. Yeah, I pretty much kerosene. I haven't dealt with the propane ones. Edit, edit to test your lanterns. Most people only care if they hold pressure. Pull out the plunger, put your thumb on the hole on the end, and push in. If it stays out, then you're trying. You got to pump it quite a few times there. If it stays out when you're trying to push in, then the seal is good.
Oh, thank you. That's good advice.
And I think what I would do is say holds pressure, still put parts in repair though, holds pressure. The only reason is that, and if you know more about Coleman lanterns, then go ahead and do it differently. I don't know enough about it to say whether all parts are good because I know it can have a bit of a leak or it can be kind of clogged up with something, even a cobweb or something like. So it's not going to give you the strong hard flame. It could sputter a bit and stuff like that. And I just would want to avoid any of those issues. So I try to stay along with parts and repair. You might even find one brand new, never opened before. So that could be interesting too, right? So, but these are all good points. Doing it wrong. Thank you for that. And those are some nice keywords that I'll have to copy and paste in the old eBay and see what's going on there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Next one from doing it wrong. Random semi-morbid shower thought. You ever think about how a big chunk of reselling is all about profiting off people dying?
No,
Not
never
saying
think
this.
about that.
Not saying this is in death vulture way, but more of a cycle of life and death way.
No, I
Uh
think about that all the time.
oh, really?
Yeah, especially if I go into a place that's like an estate sale. Like I just kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy this way, but I like to. I just kind of internally kind of like respect the person and the life and sometimes I'm sad for the person or sometimes I'm like wow that's a real interesting life or you know what I mean but at the end of the day it's all somebody giving up their what they've worked for like especially if it's somebody with a big collection of stuff like toy soldiers or whatever but this person, their whole life was based around this one thing, and they're
Yeah.
gone. And was that the right thing to do? Like, oh, I'm going to get right down the rabbit hole on this one, Carl.
Right.
But
Okay.
like, did you did a person? And there's no right or wrong, but I always reflect on my life. Like, am I really maximizing what I should be doing with my life? Like, should I be doing something differently and trying to like really pursue, I don't know, something for the greater of humanity? I'm being a little bit sarcastic on that,
No,
but
I think about that stuff too, right?
like right now I'm doing something that satisfies me, but am I doing the right thing with my life? Like when I pass away, or even worse, like if I'm in my last 5 minutes of consciousness before I die, I know I'm dying, I know this is it, and I look back, do I say, you know what, I did the best I could, or you know what, I'm satisfied with how life went for me? Or do I sit there and say, man, I wish I would have done more? Or would have, like, I think we always have a little bit of that, but
when I've
like,
listened to
or,
people who were dying
yeah.
and they said they regrets, usually it's something like not keeping up with old friends, not seeing my family as much, that sort of thing. But it's hard because
But you
you
don't
know
keep up with old friends, but at the same time, if you did keep up with old friends, are there people saying, geez, I should have spent less time with my friends and did more for myself, or do more
right.
for my family, or do more for, you know, people in need, or I should have done more of things that I enjoy doing on my own. Like there's a struggle back and forth. Like, what do people perceive? Are we all going to perceive we wish we did something more? Or we might perceive one thing, and then somebody in the position that did what we wished we did, they did do, and they wish they would have done something kind of opposite of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I try
It's a
not to
little bit
think
of a
about it
back
'cause
and
it'll
forth
drive
there.
me nuts,
It
right?
it does drive you nuts for
Right.
sure. But when I do walk into the estate, and like, especially when it's the family selling the stuff off.
So okay, so the story I remember from you is the woman who her and her husband were collectors, and she was dying of cancer
Oh
or
yes,
whatever.
yeah. Her husband
Y-
had passed away already.
Yes, and you went over and they were having a big sale,
Yep.
right? It's your story. You tell it because I think it's
Well,
appropriate.
that's pretty much right. So what her and her husband did is they would go around and they collected all these antiques, and they weren't hoarders, but
No,
their house was filled filled. So they wouldn't have had closets and steps covered and stuff, but they would have had things displayed, like shelves of stuff. But it was all displayed. It looked really good, but they were definitely collectors of a lot of stuff. So you might have seen one shelf, and they would have had like maybe 10 miniature cannons of different sizes and stuff, which or cowbells. Like I bought a bunch of the cowbells, but they might have had a whole shelf of 12 cowbells, and next to it would have been another collection of something.
my
You know what I
point
mean?
being that they enjoy their time collecting
And they
together,
enjoyed their stuff not
and
as a hoarder, but
right.
as an appreciative in a art sort of way. You know what I mean?
And
Like
what
they had a couple nice big cameras on big tripods. They were old, but they were decorative. It was like a museum almost.
what was she appreciating now that she was also at the end of life?
So her kids wanted, because she knew she was dying, and she only had like weeks to a couple months left.
Literally, yeah,
Literally, she was weak, and her kids wanted her to put this stuff in an auction and just do it that way.
yeah,
And she said no. She goes, the way I collected it was going to estate sales and yard sales, and she wanted people to be able to come and get her stuff the way that she did it.
right.
And the kids hated it until the end, and then they were like, at the end of the weekend, because it was a long weekend, let's say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they were kind of saying that they got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
they lived their lives, they lived how they wanted it, and now they
and
have to go and
she had a great weekend. She was
yes,
exhausted and tired, like she was sitting down a lot near the end for
yeah,
sure. She
Yeah.
was kind of like overwhelmed at times for sure. Because she was older, like she was
Well,
probably,
she's obviously passing away. Yeah.
but she was passing away of cancer, but she was probably in her 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was quite 80s. She was definitely in her mid to later 70s. Um, which some people would still say that's kind of younger. I think you get into your 80s and stuff like that now. But all I'm saying it's on the individual person too. So I don't want to say what's older and young because it's different for everybody. But she was definitely ill. Her husband had passed away, and she was actually happy to see the way things
Exactly.
and how much people enjoyed buying and appreciated her stuff.
Exactly. And you know what? At the end of the day, you're gone. We're all gonna go,
Yep.
and that's the way. I want to do a little quote here. Okay.
But she
This from
wasn't just giving her stuff away either.
no. She wanted
Like
money for it too.
some of
But
the stuff, like she was
yeah,
really attached to still,
yeah,
and she wanted money. So a couple of things she didn't want to sell, and then some of the stuff she was extremely reasonable, and some of
yeah,
the stuff she was just right in the market. Like,
yeah,
I know you're reselling this. This is what I want for it. I know that's a good price. And sometimes it was a little more than I wanted to pay for it, but I agreed I can still make some money off that price. It's a pretty good price. So anyway, so what are you going to say, Carl?
I just wanted a quote from a tombstone. Okay, just to end off this conversation here. Pause, stranger, when you pass me by. As you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so you will be. So prepare for death and follow me. So we're all going to go through this. We're
Yep,
all going to be the person who has the estate sale for when we pass. There's someone who's going to deal with all our crap when we pass. It's just the way of life.
100%.
So yeah, no, it doesn't bother me. The end.
It doesn't bother me in that I'm stressed about it, but it does go through my mind and thoughts. Like it's not like I'm ignoring it either. Like I do think about it at times. Like I
Yeah,
do,
well,
I think about personal situation, family members, and I also think about people's, especially like I said, estate sales. When I go to that property and I'm walking through their house,
oh, when you can feel they're still there, that freaks me out. But
well, it could be an
that's not
element
that
of
often.
that. I didn't
Yeah,
go that deep into it. I feel, I'm not disagreeing that people can't feel that. I don't know if I'm sensing the spirit being there or I'm just sensing I can sense and I think we can all sense what I'm about to say, but I can sense their appreciation for their items and how they lived a life,
hmm
and I can kind of, I don't know, when I go into the pilot's thing where he had all the pilot suits displayed and he kind of, I could see this guy's lifestyle. You know what I mean?
hmm
And I could
hmm
just, I'm like,
appreciate
wow,
that.
that was a good one. That was a good lifestyle. This guy was pretty professional. He was very just around good person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just felt good vibes going through the place, and um, and I'm just trying to think of others like the firefighter one. I ca-
Oh, there's
I
so
I was fortunate to have actually seen some like photo books and stuff like that when they were younger, and it's really interesting when you see someone who is in their 80s with a walker and very frail, and their husband passed away, and then you look back in the books in their 50s and like in the 1950s and they're like their 30s or 20s. you know it's amazing to say, like, wow, like they lived this life, they had a
yeah.
cottage, they're partying, they're hunting and fishing, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff really resonates with me. I don't know about you, Carl, but
Yeah, it reminds me we need to live life, right? And
I
sometimes
think
I
I
forget
think
that.
we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I decided to quit Toyota. Toyota is a great company to work for, but you're spending a big majority of your life working at
hmm
that factory and you're not really living, you know. So, anyway, for that little comment, there's a big answer.
We're not even finished it. So Dawn says,
Oh, we're not finished it?
There's something I used to think about. This is something I used to think about a fair amount, but I try to look at it as we're helping the people who are left behind. People are overwhelmed with not just grief, but all of the crap you have to deal with when someone passes away. The problems come when people start taking advantage of that grief and overwhelm and try to lowball or whatever. As long as we're respectful and fair, then I think we're good. You can't take it with you, as they say. Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
for 100%. And as much as I say I'm always trying to get a low price and all this kind of stuff, I will 100% say it on the flip side that every single time I went to an estate, especially if I've been recommended for an estate, I've got nothing but positive feedback. The lady who was in with the walker and all that kind of stuff, we would take her. She was moving out of Port Dover, and one of her favorite things that she said she was going to miss was the fish and chips, which is very famous for the fish and chip place here in Dover, which is 10 minutes from us. Every time we went there, we went and grabbed her fish and chips.
Yeah.
Her perch and her fries. And that was already after the first deal was made. So we kind of had a concept of what was there. And her daughter came the third time we were there. Her daughter showed up with her husband and thanked us so much for doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, thank you. Like this is what we do, and we appreciate you guys working with us too, right? Like this is doing us a good thing too. So I'm always straight up, but I think there's business there too. So I think you don't want to take advantage of them because I think it's karma. It's going to come back that way.
Yeah.
But it is a business, and you can't fall into the trap on the other side where you're overpaying because you feel sorry for them either. You have to draw that line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes that happens, dude. Sometimes I've bought off like people that I think this one guy's homeless. He comes in every once in a while. I think he finds his stuff in the garbage. And like I bought I don't know if I should have done this, but I bought 4 Playboys off him one time, not too long ago, and I way overpaid. I give them $20. They're sitting in a plastic bag because I'm afraid to touch them. But
yeah,
why?
I know. I did. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, they're $10 a piece. Commissioner, I said, I'll give you $20. I opened my wallet and all I had was a $10 bill. But he comes in often. I said, here's 10 now. I'll give you 10 next time I see you. He came in. He was walking by. And I said, hey. And I pulled out my 10. I said, I owe you another 10. And he goes, oh, I forgot about this. Thanks so much. Well, I'm sure you didn't forget about it. And I've overpaid for a truck. It was a metal thing. But the guy comes in. He shovels the snow for the store. She pays him. It's just one of those town guys that, like, he's annoying as hell. Because when I see him in the parking lot and I'm trying to get shit done, I know he's going to try to talk my ear off for 3 hours.
God. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll give him a couple of minutes of talking. But at the same time, also, like, I'm not going to buy a piece of garbage because then he's going to bring me garbage all the time. But if I can get $40 for a truck, I'll probably give him $20-$30 for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And he doesn't hammer me all the time. He's very rarely because he'll probably spreads it out to everybody. But I try to be a little bit fair to him. Like, hey man,
instead of giving the guy $10, instead of giving the guy,
he had to listen to this one, Carl. I think I upset him, but I'm outside and I'm trying to get shit done, and he's riding by and he goes, he got a bicycle, right? Maybe I shouldn't say this, but anyway. So he goes, hey, I just got this bicycle. And I said, oh, really, eh? And I said, did you pick it off somebody's front lawn or did you really, I don't know. That was bad. But he goes, no. I'm like, okay. So, I don't know. How do it's like, it's impulse. I just had to say it because I'm like, how'd you get that new bike, dude? But
yeah, you can think it, just don't say it.
But anyway, what are you gonna say, Carl?
Oh, I was just saying, like, I've done that too, where I was at the store and the guys, obviously don't have a lot of means, and they came in, and I bought a couple toys off of them, just like a sympathy buy, right? It's more like,
Yeah,
instead of giving the guy $10 to go get, something to eat, it's like, here's $10 for your stuff,
yeah,
which I'll probably get $10 for if I'm lucky.
yeah.
You know?
I had a guy do that. And he brought in a bunch of stupid coins and shit, and I'm
Oh,
like,
coins, I see that
yeah,
all the time
but
across to me. Yeah.
he had, dude, I know where he worked, which is a low paying job, and you could just tell. You know what I mean? You could just tell this guy's down. So, like, I don't even. It's still in a bag, dude. And I
I
did
know
this probably about a year and a half ago. But I give him like $20, but I don't. It's just a bunch of stuff in a bag,
I
and I don't
know,
even know if it's worth it or not. But
probably not,
right,
but you
but
never know. I see that all the time across from me because the guy across from me is coin guy,
yeah,
and people bring in weird ass like, oh, there's a mistake on this coin, or look, there's an extra piece, and like the guy's like, yeah, I'm not interested in this. Go, not. He's always very nice, extremely nice to these
yeah.
people, but it's just like, yeah, this is a bunch of crap. I don't want it.
But it's
In a nice
different when
way.
there's somebody who's down on their luck. That's wrong, and there's somebody who's going to sell their house for $1 million.
Yeah, they're not the same thing. Yeah,
They're not the same thing. So if someone's going to sell their house for $1 million and they want to get rid of a pile of junk, I'm not going to give them 500 because I can sell it for 750. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's two different scenarios, right? So
yes,
I'm going to be more of that business guy
yes,
on that deal and
yeah.
try to like really, okay, I'm doing them a favor.
Hmm,
But
hmm.
on the flip side, these guys that are just trying to get a burger and fries for the day,
That's yeah.
that's a
Like I said,
different story,
it's a
right?
different story. Instead of handing him $10, he's selling you something for $10. Therefore, he didn't beg for it.
He's trying to do something here, and
Yeah,
he doesn't have the same outlet to sell this stuff. I'm
no,
just going to throw it in a box on the shelf, and it's
yeah,
fine, right?
that's fine. You'll live.
I'll live, right? And I'm going to get the money back. It's not like I'm, you know, whatever. But I'm just saying those are like every scenario is going to be different. So anyway,
It's better than the guys at the gas station who just ran out of money to pay for the gas, and they need just $20 so he can get this
yeah.
delivery load to the next town. Yeah, he's not
Or
one
the
of those
guy that's
guys.
trying to sell needles and he hands you a note saying, "I'm deaf and I can't really speak, but here I'm trying to sell these needles for $5 a package." And then
Yeah.
somebody honks the horn behind him and he jumps and he looks back.
Or the guys like, I have
So
stereo.
he's not really deaf because he heard the horn and it
Right,
startled
right, yeah. Okay, I actually didn't get that. Yeah. Or the guys out of the van with the speakers that are a really good deal.
Oh, I fell for that one when I was
Like
like
my buddy, I don't know if he. No, we knew at that time. We were old enough to know,
yeah,
like that scam. Yeah, but that's still around. I was almost at the time saying, "Oh, you guys are still doing this? This is awesome."
they're still doing that, eh?
Uh,
Wow.
well,
I
this
got
is this is many
well,
years ago now, 20 years ago. So
yeah. I got I sort of got I mean the speakers worked,
yeah.
but they weren't like the high quality. Now, I think I probably paid, I don't know. Obviously, they probably fell off the back of a truck, but I think I paid probably pretty much what they're worth, maybe over a little bit. But I was thinking, but trust me, Carl, I thought I was getting this high end speaker like
Oh,
they
dude,
got.
like they go after guys like us for good
Yeah,
reason, right?
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And but I ended up giving him my brother, and he loved him. Like he was younger; he's 3 years younger than me, so I would have been 18. So he's like he
Oh,
loved them, and I
18.
just
You were the perfect age to,
yeah,
yeah, as the mark.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, so looking back on it, I overpaid. I know that, but they still were there. It still served a purpose in life, right?
There's worse ways to lose your money,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
And I've
Yeah.
done that too. So don't, Briac stock was one of them. So
Oh man.
there you go. But yeah, for sure. There's there's worse ways to lose your money, but they're still doing that speaker thing, eh?
Well, when it happened to us, it was 20 years ago, so I'm not sure
Yeah,
if they're still doing it. I'm sure there's
I
some
wonder if
guy
it
out
was
there
the
still trying
same
to do it.
guys all the way from Ottawa down to
Uh,
Simcoe.
they probably go from spot to spot. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, I know. We have,
like
yeah.
dude, I was such an idiot, man. Like Just
Yeah, but
jump in the van. We'll go to the bank machine.
uh,
Okay, I jumped in the van. Hey guys,
uh,
like I came from wrestling, football, hockey. Like I felt like okay, if these guys want to do something, I'll just punch them in the face a couple times.
whatever. Yeah,
You know,
like I
but
said, it's worse ways to scam people.
like yeah, but
Uh,
I'm in the back of a van
what could
getting
happen?
driven by
Yeah,
strangers to
I
my
know.
bank machine.
Oh my god,
How
it's
dumb is
funny.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, here's my bank card, guys. Like,
Oh my god.
oh, so we do stupid things, right? And still survive to talk about it.
Yeah, we got scammed in New Orleans. Like my buddy is like was one of the classic cup, like the ball in the cup scams. And then we were all 18, 19, 20. We were down there on a road trip, and I said to my buddy, let's just go. Like, we don't need to do this. But my buddy, like, it totally hit whatever circuits were in his brain to get scammed. But all we did was lose like 20 Canadian dollars, which they probably didn't know what to do with anyways. But it was just so funny. Like the skinny guy is like showing us the cups, and then this big guy comes and says, "Oh, look, you're winning all this. You're winning all this money." And this guy was big, and it's like, "Oh shit!" But all they took was $20 off. Like, really, is part of the experience of going down to New Orleans is getting scanned by the cup and ball game, right?
Oh man.
Uh,
We
okay.
we we live life to the fullest, Carl. That's what
Oh
you gotta
man,
do. These
we're just
experiences are what memories are made of.
don't be the richest person in the graveyard. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. So next one is Thrift on Fire. Good show, guys. Hey,
Hey,
thanks,
Jamie.
James.
Good to see Jamie here.
Yeah.
Good show. Well, thanks, Jamie. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting.
And the
And
last
well, let's just talk about Jamie real quick here. Thrift on Fire. He's a reseller. You can go check out his channel. He's been on this show a couple of times when you were absent, Carl. And him and his buddy John is from out east, Randy's neck of the woods, and A to Z resell. I
yeah,
always get A to Z,
A to Z.
but A is spelled like the
EA.
Canada A.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, eh? Like
They're-
EH.
they're-
So,
yeah.
all right. So check out Jamie Thrift on Fire. There you go. Thanks, Jamie. And Nova Scotia Celt, this is Randy. Hi, Scott and Carl. You don't have to tell okay, so this is a conversation that we had last week. You don't have to tell the seller what something is worth. 100%. Why would you? That's my point. Like, I would never tell them what it's worth. Ask what they want and counter with what you will pay. Carl, you have to be open-minded to buying anything like car parts, etc. I went from comics to Coleman stove parts. Always enjoy your videos, even the short ones. Randy. Well, thanks, Randy.
Yeah, thank you, Randy.
And yeah, never tell them what it's worth. What it's worth to me, you can counter that. Well, what do you think it's worth? Well, to me, this is what it's worth.
That's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow night.
Yeah. So, like, I got to resell and everything. So for me, it's worth about $10. That's it. That's what I'm going to say. Pretty cool little piece, but there's a lot of them out there. I don't know, $10.
Yeah.
$5, 50 cents. I don't know. Let's make a pile over here, and I'll tell you what the whole pile to me is worth. It's worth $20. I don't know. Getting a little bit silly. Really didn't know what to call the last show, Carl. So we talked about beaver hooked rugs and how they can be the worth the most. So that's why I put reselling beaver items is good business. So just letting you know. What do you think we should title this one? What's the topic of the day on this one?
Death and reselling.
Wow. That's a good one. That's a catchy title. That's what it's going to be. There you go. Well, we might tweak it a little bit, but it'll be
themed.
Well, that's kind of based around Doing It Wrong's comment.
We talked about it, and Dawn. So yeah, no, something like that.
Did Dawn? Oh, she replied to his comment. Okay.
Yeah, we already did that bit.
All right, there you go. That'll be an easy thumbnail to make too.
Yeah, I love the thumbnails. I don't know who's the tall guy and who's the fat guy. That's with the cane.
Wow, come on, Carl.
Yeah, next week.
Who's the bald guy?
I know. Well, they're both bald, so it's okay.
There you go. um, no, I obviously I'm going to be the chubby guy.
And next week, hopefully, I'll have a good story and not a life lesson story.
A life lesson story.
Like for the pick for tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't want another story of like how the woman got upset with me when I offered her money on her
right.
Her stuff, or the other woman who chased me from the garage sale to get her item back. I don't want to. I want a good
Dude,
story.
I think if you go in there with a positive, fun attitude, you can't lose no matter if you come out there with nothing. I think really you're just going for the experience, and just do not overpay. Do not overpay. Because if you overpay, that's your fault. Like work on the negotiation. If it's too much, say I don't care if I walk out of here with nothing. My whole objective today is to learn to negotiate a lower price. Scott went from $45,000 down to $5,000. That's what I want to do.
Wow.
I don't know. I only say that because I know you were impressed by that. Like you kept bringing. How did you do that? How do you do that? You know what I mean?
I know. Hey, you're making a good point. Not over. My wife said the same thing. Actually, don't overpay. Don't buy a bunch of garbage.
Yeah. You're doing her a favor. You're getting rid of her stuff.
It's
the classic line, Carl. If she goes,
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough. Just say, listen, the way I sell things with commissions and rents and everything else, shipping and all this kind of stuff that's involved, this is what I can pay. But listen, if you think you can get somebody else, by all means do that. Because you got my number, you call me. Because my offer still stands. As long as this is what's involved, this is what I can offer. If you start pulling stuff out of it, then we'll come to a different agreement. But by all means, I'm not offended by it. Like, I apologize. I wish I could pay more, but then it's defeating a business model. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by the time commissions, everything comes out, this is what I can pay. And I'd like to take this stuff off your hands, and I'll deal with it after that. I'm going to be the one cleaning it, fixing it, selling it, looking it up, all that kind of stuff. But if you're not happy with that, and let her tell you no first, but just say, maybe I could come up another 50 or $100, but otherwise I'm just going to have to walk away. And you got my number. Give me a call anytime. The offer stands.
Yeah.
And
great advice.
Thank you for your time. Like it was awesome just coming through and seeing your stuff. That was fun. Be so positive with it. If you're willing to walk away, there's a really good chance they're going to say, you know what? You're right. Like, I want this stuff gone. I don't even want to deal with it. Just, I'll agree to that. Because she's investing her time and everything with you too, right?
Oh, she's invested a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah. She might even look some stuff up. And
she definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah. So just say, if you looked it up, you know the value of it, but I got rent and commissions to pay. So, and I got to make a little bit of money for my time, right? So,
yeah, it's like, for example, one interesting one will be a jacket. So it's kind of it's a nice jacket, right? It's a reversible jacket, nice jacket. Yeah. She looked it up, only I could find it. Someone on eBay's asking 80.
I wouldn't even tell her. Did you tell her that?
No, she saw it.
Oh.
She saw it. I saw the same jacket.
Okay.
I can't find any comps.
Yeah.
Right. So she said, "Oh, I'll obviously sell it for you for less than that." It's like, well, obviously, but
so I would try to do two things, and maybe somebody else can help out. I know it's going to be too late by the time you read their comments, but I would focus on two things: not overpaying, and trying to lump it up, trying to get a bulk price for everything.
Yeah.
Right? Because that number is going to sound higher than individual items. So you could get a lower price, but in their mind, it's a high number.
Yeah, because it's in the hundreds rather than $5 here, $10 there.
Right. So you're throwing it all here. Try to stay away from, and I'm just kind of brainstorming now, but you just said $5, $10. try to stay away from buying items unless they're in a box or a lot of them. Try to stay away from like those 5 and 10 items, because if you're paying $5 for a $10 item for your booth, that's not, even though it's only $5. It's I try to stay away from that. Like those things, I try to lump up. I do
Yeah.
throw them in there to sweeten up my part of the deal, but I try not to put a lot of value into them or any value into them. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It'll be very interesting. Like when I come up with that price, when they have all that stuff there, and I'm trying to come up with how much I'm willing to pay in my head, how quickly do you do that? Like, do you say, okay, just give me a few minutes to go through everything, or do you just do it on the fly?
I'm kind of doing it on the fly, dude.
Yeah.
I really am.
That's
I could hum and haw. It all depends. It all depends, dude. It all depends on the vibe I'm getting and what they're saying to me as soon as they answer the door.
Yeah.
Are they excited to see me? Are they don't really care? Probably they don't really, they don't really care is probably your best scenario. If they're too excited, I'm thinking, okay, now they think I'm a cash cow. You know what I mean? Now
Right,
they're
yeah.
just gonna
Okay.
they're gonna shake me like a piggy bank. But I don't know. I think you just have to like figure it out. See what their house is like. See what their situation. If their house is very like everything is kind of spread out. They're not really a hoarder. But it's all nice and clean. They're probably gonna want a lot of money for the stuff. But if they got like a lot of stuff and everything is stashed in a cabinet, or they got boxes of stuff, or it's down in the basement where they never see it every day, there's probably less attachment to that.
Yeah, estate sales are the same way. I find the dirtier and messier they are, the better they are. I find the clean houses, they want too much for their stuff. And there's not a lot of hidden treasure there.
There's no hidden treasure at all.
Yeah.
But you can find them. Just say, like, listen, if you got a garage, a basement, or, a loft or an attic, like, if you want me to go clear that stuff or bring it down for you, let's go take a look at that stuff. Because that's usually where I find the stuff I'm more interested in. Like, run that line by her.
Yeah.
Right? Because you never know what you're going to find.
It'll be very interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. Is that pretty much it for the show, Carl?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. I think we're going to impress Randy with this.
Yeah.
Well, even Tina Mack said, too, like she didn't get a chance to list too much.
Well, she can list everything this show. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this one's long enough to keep you going right till next show next week. But all right, well, best of luck, Carl. I want a full report,
right,
based on how it goes, and I think just be friendly. Don't like just whatever they throw at you as far as prices or anything. Don't get all upset about it. Like, I guess we can talk about that a little bit off the air if you want, but that's about it. I wish you the best of luck, dude. So
thank you.
All right. And I can't wait to next week. I can't wait to hear about it. But
me too.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We're here every Friday on Spotify and on YouTube, audio only on both platforms, and we're here every Friday. So other than that, have a good week, Carl, and we'll see everybody next week, and have a great week.
Bye, everyone.